Checkup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Johnny Hill with you on a Monday afternoon. No Brett Norsworthy today, but he'll be back tomorrow. A lot to get to, a very, very busy weekend in the sports world. We had NBA All-Star Weekend. We had a lot of really good college basketball games over the weekend.
Yeah.
Today, President's Day. Happy President's Day to everybody out there. We've had hockey. If you're a fan of hockey, we've had hockey going on most of the day. Daytona 500's about to get started because it was delayed from last night. It was supposed to go off yesterday afternoon, I guess, but weather down in Daytona has been pretty shaky this weekend, and so they are doing it this afternoon, about to start in Daytona. So a lot of really good things happening over the weekend, and then there were the Tigers. So we're going to talk a ton of Tigers. We spent a lot of the week last week talking about, all right, if the Tigers go 2-0, what will it be like? If the Tigers go 1-1, if they split the series, what will it be like? I don't think we really thought that this team. I mean, I'm pretty sure me and Brett both said there is a possibility this team goes on the road and loses both.
Yeah.
We were kind of hoping that wouldn't happen. We were kind of avoiding that outcome.
Yeah, we wanted it, but
we know we didn't want him to go 0-2. We wanted to avoid that.
Yeah, we wanted that. Yeah, that's why I said we wanted to avoid that.
I thought you were saying we wanted to go 0-2. I was like, I don't know, absolutely not. But now that's what the Tigers have done. Back-to-back games in Texas, North Texas, last week on Thursday, and then SMU yesterday, and we're going to talk a lot about it. I really think that was one of the first games that you could just, sitting there watching, you could tell, this team's giving up. That's about it.
The effort level was the most concerning to me, though, about it. Like, Bryant, body language tell a lot, man. And when certain people would take a shot or when they turn the ball over, it was just terrible. Like, one thing you can't teach is effort, because that's between you and you, man. That's between the person, man. And they effort level was just bad.
Yeah,
on both ends, and it was like, y'all are just out here, and that's not what the city deserved. That's not what the fans deserved. Yeah. Nobody deserved that type of effort level, man.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a lot about it throughout the show, really. We're going to spend most of these first two segments on that. And then David Cobb's going to join us a little bit later in the second hour. We'll talk to him about it, I'm sure. And then Shelby Mast will also talk to him about it. And where he has the Tigers now in his latest bracketology. But weekend, I mentioned a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of a slow weekend in terms of like all the sports going.
Yeah.
First weekend without the NFL, without football, basketball. It was just All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing of the weekend that you saw?
Well, All-Star Weekend was interesting.
I want to talk about All-Star Weekend in depth later. I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
Interested.
Right. We got to give Brett credit early. He said on Friday that he thought we would get
a 200-point game.
200-point game, and he was right. 211 for the East All-Star team, which,
well, amazing thing about Brett, man. He called the 200-point game, and he also called the Super Bowl overtime. Yeah. So he's been on fire lately, man.
He's been on. Take him to a casino.
Hey, take him to the casino, man.
And see what happens. No, I enjoyed All-Star Week. All-Star Weekend has kind of turned into something that I just found myself having on in the background. While I'm doing other things, while I'm watching other things, maybe have it on my computer, like one screen on my computer or something like that. Like I don't
fully pay attention to it.
It's not going to get all of my attention, but I'll watch it. Like, I want to watch it and see what's happening, especially like on Saturday nights. Well, and
Saturday nights are the best night.
And this weekend in particular, I mean, Friday night we had Vince Williams Jr. going.
That's big.
From the Grizzlies and the Rising Stars game. So I wanted to watch a little bit of that. Saturday with all, 3-point shooting contest, dunk contest.
Always good to watch
skills
that.
challenge. I enjoy watching all of that, and so I wanted to tune in for that. And then the All-Star game, I like having it on in the background and watching it. And, I know a lot of people this year talking about the defense because of the 200 points that were scored. But, like, part of me, I don't know. Part of me, and I don't want to spend this entire segment. I want to talk Tigers here, but we'll talk about it at length.
Yeah.
At about 3:45, we'll get real into it. But I'm kind of split. Part of me is like, they don't play any defense. But the other half of me is like, dude, just watching Dame Lillard pull up from half court and just sink.
That was amazing, though.
It's fun. I mean, that's awesome. And that's really what part of All-Star Weekend is about. Is like watching these guys and how athletic they are and how special they are on a basketball court. And seeing that was really cool, I've got to say.
Like, just seeing some of them guys, like, you can tell that they're the elite of the elite, man.
Yeah.
Off of All-Star Weekend. Like, I just seen Devin Booker don't do no windmill dunks in no game or anything. But I seen Devin Booker, they going to have, like, to a timeout. Ball's on the ground. He just picks it up, standing, and just does a windmill. And I'm like, man, these are really the best of the best athletes in the world.
Yeah.
Man.
No, they really are. But, I mean, I'm split. And we'll talk about later why I'm so split and what I think the NBA should do, what we think the NBA should do going forward to try to maybe change the perception around their All-Star game, because it certainly, I would say, is a negative perception right now because of the lack of defense that they play. But if you want to talk lack of defense, another team that lacked defense yesterday was the Memphis Tigers.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I mean, just a really, really poor performance on the road in SMU. Here's something for you. Final score of that game yesterday, in case anybody missed it, and if you missed it, everyone's been talking about it today, so I'm sure you haven't missed much. The final score of that game, 106-79.
Yeah.
SMU wins 106-79. Johnny, do you remember how many points SMU scored in the first meeting this season against Memphis in FedEx Forum?
Oh, I don't remember.
They scored 59 points. That was the final for SMU. 62-59 was the final score.
Yes, I remember that. Okay, yeah. Me and my dad went to that game. Now I remember.
Okay, so 62-59 was that final score.
Yeah.
In the first half yesterday, SMU scored 58 points. So they almost scored as many points that they did a month or two ago when they played in Memphis. What date was that? January 7th. So the beginning of January.
Yeah.
They scored almost as many points in the first half yesterday than they did the entire game in Memphis. And remember, that was a game that Memphis had to claw their way back. And,
they did.
And had to have a Javon Quinterly 3 as time was expiring to break the ties. They tied it late, and then Javon won it with that one. And so just a really, really, really poor performance from the Tigers. And now back-to-back losses. If you look at what happened yesterday, Tigers shot 48% from the field, 45% from three, but on the other side, SMU 56.8% from the field. I mean, they were just knocking down shots, and this isn't an SMU team that is, a really good 3-point shooting team. So and they don't take a ton of 3-pointers. And so it was not shocking to me that they didn't shoot well from three. They didn't take a ton of threes because that's not really their game.
Yeah.
They did take 33s, but they did not make a ton of them. Made 12 of them, but 12 or 30 is about 40%.
Yeah.
But they did a lot of the work inside. Samuel Williamson is a former 5-star recruit. Started his career at Louisville.
Yeah.
Played really well. Finished with 18 points and 8 rebounds. A really good game from him.
He was on the glass. He really was on the glass that game.
And not many Tigers were on the glass. SMU out-rebounded Memphis 40-29.
Bro, we're just a poor we're just a poor rebounding
17 offensive
team.
rebounds for SMU, only 11 for Memphis.
Man, that's just terrible, man. But let's go back into what you were talking about. Like, they were doing a little damage from the outside, but a lot of times, a lot of points came in the paint. Mm-hmm. Like, on breakaways, especially on the fast break,
48 points in the paint yesterday.
See?
46 points from their bench. So they got a lot from the bench. And now, yes, some of that was from, end of game, whatever. But, Ricardo Wright, who played 18 minutes and had 26 points off the bench. They had guys step up.
And Brian, you can talk about this too, man. There was a fearless about them boys.
Yeah.
Like, they did not care who was out there, man.
Well, and it was really, Johnny, this was really a game of two teams that have really been going in different directions.
Yeah.
For a while. SMU, right now, I did not know this. I'm just saying on KenPom. SMU has the 9th longest active win streak in the country. They've been playing really well. They have won their last 6 games. That made it 6 yesterday with the win over Memphis. The last time they lost a game was January 28th. They lost back-to-back games against North Texas and Wichita State. Since losing to Memphis back in early January, they've only lost 2 games since then.
Man, that's
so
amazing.
After that, they've only lost those 2 games. They've won, so that's 9 of their last 11 games that they've won. So they've been playing well. And on the other side, this Tiger team, even though they went on that 3-game win streak, I would say only one of those games was a game that we came in the next day and said, that was an impressive win.
Yeah.
That was a really good win. Those other ones were scary. Wichita State, they trailed most of the game.
That was
had
very
to come back
scary.
late and win. Temple on the road got up big. Then second half was all Temple. They almost come back and win that game. You look up, and 10 minutes into the second half, it's a 10-point game.
Yeah.
And so those were scary games. Tulane, what was that, 2 weeks ago now? Or no, last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend.
That was the first game that you were kind of like, okay, Tigers dominated. Tigers looked good.
Yeah.
They really, kept Tulane out of it. Now, Tulane went on a small run, but that was kind of at the end. Memphis felt like they had that one wrapped up. And so now you go on the road for these 2 games. North Texas,
yeah.
you wanted to win that game. You probably should have won that game.
You should have.
But Tulane is not a bad defensive team. They're a pretty good defensive team. Not saying, not trying to say, whatever, Memphis should have lost that game. And SMU is not a bad defensive team either. Both those teams are top 40 defensive teams in the country, according to KenPom. But I think what is glaring to people today about this Memphis team and that game yesterday was what you just said, Johnny, the effort out there. I mean, it did not look like guys wanted to be out there. It did not look like they were trying. And then the comments from Penny Hardaway after the game of basically saying, y'all saw the same game I saw. These guys were not trying. These guys are not competing. These guys are not executing. And that is just really what you don't want to hear in the middle of February. I mean, that is something that's
something you can't hear at this point in time, Brian.
No.
And the same thing that's been a problem for us, and I say us because that is the school we went to and we do support them. But you got to be honest. But the most glaring part of it is turnovers, rebounds. And it's like more they get beat on the glass, more they do make bad turnovers, the morale just goes down, man. And it's like David Jones, he had 30. Correct me, he had like 31 points and 10 rebounds.
33 and 10. That's right.
He had a double. He had a game, but he also had turnovers. He also got crossed up. He had some bad moments as well, man. The thing is, the guys need to just lock in, man. They're not locking in, man. The effort level at the games like that can ruin your whole season, man.
But I do think it's a mix of both. Like right now, not right now. All season long, this team has not been good defensively.
They haven't,
and I think, it's hard. I think some of that is on Coach Hardaway. I think some of that is on these players. I also think a lot of it is this roster construction. It has been a very, I said it a while ago, and obviously, you lose Caleb Mills, and that was a huge loss. But
that was a big loss.
Caleb Mills, I think, was one of the only players, and someone please correct me if you can think of something, because I didn't go back and look. I could be completely wrong, but right now, thinking about it, Caleb Mills was one of the only players in the offseason that when he committed to Memphis, everyone was like, oh, yeah, good offensively, but he also brings you a ton defensively. He's a good defender. You didn't hear that about David Jones. You didn't hear that about
he was a scorer.
Quinterly.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that about Walton. Jourdain, I think you maybe heard a little bit.
Bit, but not a lot, though.
But none of these guys were really recruited to be those defensive stoppers, and I don't think they have a defensive stopper on this team right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem. And so, and you know, we can get into it more in our next segment when we have like more time. But I think there's a lot more to roster construction because, you know, I've heard a lot of people say the reason this team is not good is because the players don't like each other, which is probably exactly right. These guys do not look like they're having fun playing with each other. And then people are saying, well, why? Why do they not like each other? Why are they not? Because of NIL. And I do not subscribe to that. I don't agree with that. Because that's what I hear a lot of teams say that are not having good seasons. You know who's not saying NIL is a problem?
The big
UConn.
dogs. The big dogs.
Saying NIL is a problem? Houston.
They're not saying that.
Arizona is not having NIL problems right now. And if they are, nobody knows about them. I'm sure you could go find an insider or something in Arizona that's saying, oh yeah, so and so really doesn't like that this guy is making this much more money than he is. But they're bought in. The team's bought in and playing together. And I don't see this with Memphis. And I know a lot of people before the season started, and I hate calling specific players out, especially when they're college players.
Me too. I hate doing that.
But I remember before the season started where a lot of people, Nate Oates had a comment at SEC Media Days or something like that before the basketball season started where he didn't call Javon Quinterly out by name, but he basically said
he threw a little shot.
Our point guard last year was not bought in, and we're basically better without him. And I remember we all, Memphis as
I was
a group
very high on him. I ain't gonna lie. I was high
ripped
on him.
Nate Oates. How could you say that? How could you do that? Yada, yada, yada. And now I've heard a lot of people over the last couple of days say Quinterly's just not in it. He's not bought in. He's not. He looks checked out.
Man.
We just heard his coach last year say that. We heard that he just said before the season started that this guy is not bought in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big thing. I just think that Penny Hardaway, when he built this roster, was looking and saying, what guys can come here and score 20 points a game? And that doesn't work in roster construction. I'm curious to talk to David Cobb about it because, look at some of these teams that are top teams in the country.
Yeah.
They have built these programs. They have built they're teams where it's not just, hey, let's go out and get 10 transfers to come in.
Yeah.
It's, hey, let's go get 3 or 4 transfers. Let's get 3 or 4 freshmen, and we're bringing back 5 or 6 players. And you're able to kind of, and it's hard nowadays with NIL and transfer portal. I get it. It is very hard to have a program like that. But when you look at Penny Hardaway's team right now, and I was going to go through and look at this earlier today, and I didn't have time. There's a handful of guys that can come back next year. How many of those guys return? Or how many of those guys say, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else? Do you know how many people are committed right now to Memphis out of high school?
A lot.
No. Are committed to go to Memphis out of high school for basketball for next year's team.
Oh, I don't know. How many?
1. Memphis has 1 commit for the class of 2024.
Really?
1.
Well,
1. And I understand Penny Hardaway wants to use the transfer portal and all of that, but I just don't think that is the way. And I'm not a college coach. Believe me, I'm far from a college coach.
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway knows way more than I do about coaching basketball and how to construct a roster and all of that. I don't want to sit here and act like I know anything. But I just when you see other teams around the country, and I don't, and I know I already said, look at UConn, look at
some
Houston,
of the top tiers.
Top teams. You don't have to just look at the top teams. Look at some of the teams in this conference that have guys that have been around the program for a couple of years and are difference makers because they know what that program wants, what that program needs, how the program should be ran, and those teams have leaders in their locker room. This team does not.
There's not a single leadership have exited the building, man. 'Cause I don't see it, man. When you
I don't
have,
think there was ever a leader.
I don't think so either, Brian. When you have body language like that, and that just drives me crazy. When you have low effort like that, there's no leader on the team, man.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about this is Penny Hardaway, his identity, he always talk about defense. Mm-hmm. And this team don't play defense, Brian. Mm-hmm. They don't. That's the bad thing. When a team stray away from their identity as a team, that when it show that everybody's just doing what they want to do.
Yeah, no, and
it shows. Yeah, it shows. Correct us if we're wrong, but this is what is showing right now, man.
Well, the Tigers are in a bad spot right now. I mean, they really are, and this team does not look motivated. This team looks lost. This team does not look like they're bought in. And you still got a handful of games left on your schedule, and I am concerned. I know Jason Munns earlier today was on with Dave Voloshin and said Dave asked him, I think 5 games left on the season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 games left on the season. What do you think the Tigers? How do the Tigers finish the regular season? Jason Munn said, I think they finish 1-4.
Whoa!
I mean, 1-4 would be just awful. And he did say his picking has not been great, but it's kind of we had him on a couple weeks ago, and it was basically the same thing. I think he picked. It was when Memphis was hosting Wichita State, and he picked Memphis. It was after Memphis had just lost those 4 games in a row, and he had Wichita State beating Memphis. And he said, until they win another game, they have to show me they can. I mean, this team has just not looked good. They've looked completely out of sorts, and so I have to go against them. So maybe it's some of that, but we'll see Wednesday. But we're going to talk a lot more about that in our next segment. And I'm curious, hit up our listener line. The text line is wide open, 901-360-8255. Let us know what you thought about the game over the weekend. Also, where do you put the blame? Do you blame the players? Do you blame Coach Hardaway? I mean, what goes into these losses? Where do you place your blame on the recent results from the Tigers? I think 3-6 in their last 9 games. Who do you put the blame on? Players or coach, or a player in particular? Do you have a player in particular that you think is the issue? I want to know. Let me know. Let us know. 901-360-8255. Well, we have rambled a lot to start this show about the Tigers. We're going to get into that more in our next segment, but let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. Like I mentioned, we're going to talk more about the Tigers' loss in our next segment. They lose on the road against SMU 106-79. That's back-to-back losses now for the Tigers as they return back to FedEx Forum Wednesday night against Charlotte. 3:45, we'll talk a little bit about NBA All-Star Weekend. I've heard a lot of people talking about the game, talking about everything that happened over the weekend in Indianapolis. So we'll talk a lot about that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us, talk some college basketball and a little bit of college football. I want his thoughts on Steve Sarkisian's extension. I don't know if you saw that. Good Lord, what a great deal for Steve Sarkisian. 4:30, we'll talk some bracketology with our guy Shelby Mass from bracketwag.com. We'll see where he has the Tigers and where he has a lot of other teams in his most recent bracket. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. We'll talk to him about the Grizzlies All-Star break and what he is excited to see coming out of this break. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The floor model sale, it's going on right now at Family Leisure. Get over there. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa sets, under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions, as low as $25. Pool tables, now under $1,500. Theater seating, under $2,000. And 4-person hot tubs, under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam saunas are 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above-ground pool now to get first in line for installation. And their special financing, it's still available. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Let me remind you, Bryant and Johnny with you for the next 3 hours. We want your thoughts. Tigers, NBA All-Star Weekend, Grizzlies, whatever you want to talk about, we're here to hear it. 901-360-8255. 8255. But let me know, where do you place the blame? What do you think about these 2 games for the Tigers? Text in, let us know, 901-360-8255. Johnny, let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story has to be what we spent a lot of this first segment on.
Yeah.
The Tigers, another loss, back-to-back losses for this Tiger team. We just got a text message about this team. It says, I'd rather see a team full of local kids. At least it would mean something to him. First off, thanks for the text. Keep those texts coming. I think here's the thing. One thing that I've heard a lot of people say, and I agree with it, Malcolm Dandridge, he looks like he's trying. He can't give you a ton because of injuries and stuff like that in the past. He can go out there for spurts, but for the most part, besides a bad game here and there, last night, Malcolm Dandridge, 7 points. He was 1 for 1 from the field, 5 for 8 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds. Only 2 turnovers, 17 minutes for him. He's only going to give you about 15 to 20 minutes, but he looks like he's out there trying. He looks like he is out there wanting to give his all because he's playing for the city's team.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Brian. And I want to apologize because I said the whole group there is, because there are some guys who ain't trying, and I don't want to single anyone out, but who is trying. Malcolm, he's for sure trying, man. He giving it all he can do, man.
No, there's some guys that are trying. I know a lot of people were excited. Joe Cooper, the walk-on area, he got in, and a lot of people were saying that he was really giving a lot of energy and stuff like that. And I think, that is something to have, especially when you're in a city like Memphis that is, such a hotbed for basketball. I mean, we are a basketball city, and there are a lot of good preps players in the city, and there are a lot of guys that have left the city and gone and played for prep schools to try to get recruited. So yeah, I think having a couple of those guys on the roster would be big, and so maybe that's something you see. And I kind of go back to what I was saying earlier. I think you need to have a good mix of veteran guys, transfers, but also guys that you recruited, guys that you brought here.
To build up.
Because even if they're not from here, if you can bring in a guy and have him stay here for 3 or 4 years, he's one of those guys that, is just a good college basketball player that is here and, sticks around. That culture that you want to build is going to be inside of him. He's going to know what the culture is. He's going to set that culture. And as he becomes a junior, a senior, he's going to make sure everybody else follows that culture. And that's how you become the locker room leader. Whether you're from here or not, you can be that voice of this team. And the Tigers don't have that. And when they replace so many guys, it's hard to have that guy. And so just another really, really bad loss. We're going to talk about it a lot in this next segment. But now back-to-back games. And I saw earlier today, Jerry Palms, he dropped his updated bracketology.
Really? Wait.
Tigers not even named as a team on the bubble. So I think a lot of people are realizing that now, but it's really you have to win the conference championship for the Tigers if you wanna make this tournament.
Yes, man. And you done, Brian?
Yep, your turn.
My top story is the Memphis Tigers as well, man. The thing about it is how you lose, man. When you lose how the Tigers did yesterday, man, it just wasn't full of effort, man. Mm-hmm. And it was just sad and disappointing that they put out that product for their fans, for people who really support them and ride with them, man. To see them not put that effort in, man, that was disappointing, man. To see a quote unquote we're defensive first team not play defense, that is very sad, man. And I really hated to see that.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's going to be NBA All-Star Weekend, and we're going to talk about it later. That look that you just gave me, Johnny, I assume your not top story is also NBA
It's the
All-Star
same thing,
Weekend.
man.
There were things I liked. There were things I didn't like. There was really only one thing I hated, and it was the skills challenge. Oh, man, I don't think I've hated something
really
as much as I hated this year's skill challenge. It was miserable, and we'll talk about it later. I don't want to spend. We're kind of short on time here. I don't want to spend all the time on it. It was miserable. It was awful. I thought the three-point contest is always one of my favorites. I love watching the three-point shooting contest. Sabrina versus Steph was cool.
She was shooting.
That might have been the best thing from the weekend. The dunk contest was
C.
It was kind of trash.
C-.
I'm not like a huge hater on the All-Star game itself. It's not my favorite thing. I like to have it on in the background and kind of like keep an eye on it. It's not my favorite thing. It's not something I hate. I'll tell you this. I liked watching the All-Star game more than I liked watching the Skills Challenge. The Skills Challenge, I mean, pathetic. Get it.
Really?
I hate it.
Okay, Brian. But like you said, my not top story is the exact same thing. The All-Star Weekend, man. All-Star Weekend, like I normally get excited for it, but this time it wasn't what it was, man. And it wasn't the best. I think they just need to rearrange the rotation, man. The 3-point competition need to be the last. So, man, we're gonna say that for later, man.
Yeah. Also, Rising Stars game was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really fun. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We are super late for a break, so let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we're talking more about the Tigers and their loss yesterday on the road against SMU.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
It looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab you a trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny Hill with you on this Monday afternoon in our Family Leisure studios. No Brett today, but he will be back tomorrow. Hit us up, 901-360-8255. Let us know your thoughts on the Tigers, this team. What did you think about the two games, these last two games in Texas? Who do you put the blame on, team or or Penny? I'll ask you, Johnny. Who do you put the blame on? Do you put it on Coach Hardaway? Do you put it on this team? What do you think the root of these issues is?
Everybody deserves blame, but I give it to the players, man, because at the end of the day, the coaches, his job is to put up the game plan and tell them what to do. But at the end of the day, the players play, man. Yeah. The players play, and their effort level was the worst effort level I've seen a Penny Hardaway team have, man. Yeah. And that's just plain and simple, man. And this coming from someone who graduated from there, who watched them, and it's just plain and simple. The effort level just was bad at an all-time low, man. And I'm blaming the players for it, man.
Well, here's another thing. I think, for one, this was never really a competitive game. I mean,
yes, bro.
Before you could even get the game on, SMU was up. Next thing you know, SMU's up by 10, and then after that,
it just got out of hand.
It just got out of hand, and so I think one thing I've seen a lot of people say, and I would agree with it, and we've talked to Greg Gaston about it and Jason Munns about it, and it seems like they all kind of say the same thing of I don't really know, but the substitution patterns for Penny Hardaway. I think it was a minute into the game yesterday, and here comes subs. Here comes, I think Tomlin came in and maybe Jaden came in.
Yes, you're right. You're correct.
Even the color commentator on the game yesterday was like, why are we already subbing guys out? Like, let's let these guys get in a groove. Like, I know you're down, but like, why are we making a substitution this early into the game? And that's just kind of been Penny's MO this year and really always. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when we kind of all got on board of Penny really wants you to go out there and give effort and hustle and play hard for 3 or 4 minutes. And then if you play hard for 3 or 4 minutes, we'll bring you out. We'll put somebody else in. They go for 2 or 3 minutes, and then, we'll do it like that. But that was when you had one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah, we did.
And guys were trying defensively. Now, this team is not very good defensively.
It's like Olay. It's like Olay to the basket, man.
It is.
And it's just sad, man, to see a Penny Hardaway team do this, man. A Tigers team do this.
Yeah.
Like, normally, like, you hear, like, just like I know, Penny Hardaway talk about the pride of the city. He talking about playing for the pride of the city. That is not what the Memphis Tigers about, man. Like, what they put out there Sunday was at an all-time worst, man. I never seen nothing like that.
Yeah, it was not good, and it's just it was not. I mean, I'll look at the starting lineup. 33 points for David Jones yesterday.
Yeah.
The rest of the starting lineup: Nick Jordan, 0 points. Jaquan Walton, 0 points. Javon Quinterly, 9 points. Malcolm Dandridge, 7 points. That was what your starting lineup gave you last time. And here's the thing: I really like Nicholas Jordan. I think he plays hard. I think he's a good player. I think he gives you a lot on both ends of the court. And I think he's one of the guys that is out there really trying. I don't think yesterday
he's another guy who's trying.
I don't think you look at that and say, "Oh, Nicholas Jordan, look at his box score yesterday. He's a guy that doesn't care. He's a guy that's not trying." Because Johnny, I'm sure a lot of people are tired of me saying this, but one thing I've been talking about all year long, even before these issues were something that everyone was talking about.
For sure.
And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot. But
no, you're not, bro.
You could see watching this team, nobody's talking. Nobody's communicating.
Yo,
and defensively, you've got to communicate. And so, I don't mean to cut you off, Johnny.
No, finish. Go ahead.
I made it a priority when I went to the Wichita State game a couple weeks ago, and I had pretty good seats, and I made a priority. I want to watch this defense and see who is communicating and who is not communicating. You know a guy that did not stop running his mouth? Nicholas Jourdain.
Yeah.
You know another guy that surprised me that didn't stop moving his mouth?
Who?
Stop yapping on defense?
Who?
It was Jordan Brown. Jordan Brown was communicating a lot. And I think for Jordan Brown, in his mind, it's, well, this is I've gotten the second chance. I've got to be
trying to make it right.
The number one team player, team guy, if I want to make this work. And so I think he's trying to be bought in. Yeah. And maybe that's a reason. Maybe that's guys are not super bought in because, hey, this guy clearly didn't want to be with us, did not want to be on the team, leaves the team, and then after we go on a 10-game win streak and we're number 10 in the country, wants to come back. You know what? Probably wouldn't sit right with me either.
Yeah.
If I'm a guy that's been there day in and day out, I was there when we lost back-to-back games to Villanova, got embarrassed against Villanova, lost on the road to Ole Miss. I was there. And I'm still sticking around, and we turned this around together, but you quit? I probably wouldn't love that guy coming back.
Yeah.
I understand why Penny Hardaway did it, even though I don't understand why he didn't give him a shot, why he's not playing him. If you brought him back, play the guy.
Yeah.
You bring the guy back and leaving him on the bench
I do see what you're saying on that.
Isn't doing anything. Like, there's no point in that. If that was the point, we're just going to bring him back to have him on the bench, don't bring him back.
Facts, because because we're not in no locker room. Who knows bringing him back, how that affected the locker room.
Exactly. And he played 6 minutes yesterday. And maybe
it didn't feel like
it didn't. I mean, it really didn't. But maybe he's a guy that has come back and a couple weeks was fine, and then now is like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like these guys. I don't know. Maybe he is. I have no idea. But ever since he's come back, he hasn't played. And I don't really get it because give him an opportunity. If you brought him back, you obviously think he can help this team. And if you're struggling, play the guy. I don't understand that.
And the thing is, man, one thing about it, man, the effort level, man.
Yeah.
That was just very disturbing to see, man.
But I say that Nicholas Jourdain talked a lot, and Brown was talking a lot, and those guys were talking a lot. You know who I did not see talk at all?
Who you didn't see talk?
Walton. Walton does not talk at all. And I found this interesting earlier today. Jason Munz was talking to Dave Woloshin and said, he said, I haven't reported this anywhere. I haven't written in a story. I haven't talked about it on any show I've been on. But I'm going to talk about it now. And he said it's the first time he had ever seen it covering college basketball. That they were in an interview, North Texas, I think he said it was. And after the game, Nicholas Jourdain, which, pay attention. Here's one thing. Pay attention to who Penny Hardaway's been sending to post-game press conferences. You know who's been there a lot? Nicholas Jourdain. Nicholas Jourdain goes to press conferences a lot after games, and I think it's because Penny Hardaway knows he's a guy that's bought in. But Jaquan Walton was a guy that was sent for North Texas, which I just said that, and now I'm trying to point to the fact that I don't think Walton is bought in.
Yeah.
But Walton is fine. And Jason Munn said this earlier with Dave Woloshin. He said that they come in, they say, Johnny, you've been in a post-game media before.
Yeah.
But, they bring the guys in, they sit down at the microphones, and the SID goes, okay, we've got Nicholas Jourdain, and we've got Jaquan Walton. They'll answer questions now, and, they'll kind of
move the mic away.
Jason Munz, go ahead with your question. That's kind of how it goes. And Jason Munz said that they come in. He's obviously trying to update quotes and stuff on his story. So they start talking. He looks down. He's doing whatever he's doing. He said he looked back up, and that Walton is scrolling on his phone, on Twitter or something, just scrolling through. Doesn't have a care in the world, just kind of there. And that he said he had never seen that. And he goes, first off, kind of a bad look being in front of the media doing that.
Yeah.
But second off, like you just lost on the road to North Texas in a game that you lost by double digits. Like you should not have lost that game by that much.
That's a red flag, man.
And it's just a bad look. And I just don't think, we talked earlier, and I think I'll be honest, Dave and I have talked about this a lot on air and off air, especially earlier in the season, because remember, he comes here, everyone's excited. He was the leading scorer for Wichita State, and he comes here. I think he has a couple good games maybe, but then almost flatlines shooting the ball. I mean, can't make a three. He goes like 6 or 7 games where he can't knock down a three and really struggling. And a lot of people were going, oh, this guy is terrible. What's wrong with him? Yada, yada, yada. And I remember talking to Dave a lot. And Dave would say, this guy is being asked to step up on defense. This guy is being asked to go and be a primary rebounder. Like, this guy is being asked to do a lot of things that he is not comfortable with. And one of those things that he's not being asked to do is score. Like they don't need that. Like, he went from being the number 1 option at Wichita State to being like
a glue
the
guy.
3rd or 4th option on this team. And I think that he tried to buy in. I think he tried to do that, but that's just not his thing. He wants to score the ball, and I think he's done with it.
And you making some great points. Tiger Bill, we love hearing from Tiger Bill. Tiger Bill said, enjoying the show, man. I think the Tigers have several issues. No defense, no structure on the offense, and worst part is that the team quit. And I agree with Tiger Bill, they quit. Tiger Bill continued to say, having said that, the coach is responsible for it. Bottom line, I like Penny as a player, but not so much as a coach. We need to move on. Had 6 years, not much to show for it. Thanks, Tiger Bill. Tiger Bill,
thanks for the text
we thank
message.
you for the text, man.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to a break, but I want to kind of talk about this because I think he does point out no offensive structure. You look around the conference, and this is what I've been saying a lot. I think the American's very competitive conference. I think there's some really competitive teams. There's a lot of young coaches in this conference. And one thing is they all have structure on offense. They're all running a scheme. They all know what they're doing offensively. They have a game plan, and they run with it. The Tigers don't have that.
They don't. They just don't.
A lot of basic fundamental things on both sides of the ball, offense and defensively, that they just have not been doing. And I think that's a big issue. And, I think that's a really good point to point out. But, yeah, it is. I mean, bottom line, it falls on the coach, I think.
Yeah.
And I think whatever you look at it, roster construction, offense, defense, I think all of that comes back to the head coach. And so, it's really interesting. But keep those texts coming in, 901-360-8255. I want to talk a little bit about the NBA All-Star Game. I might push that back. We might wait and do that at 5:30 if we still want to talk Tigers, because obviously that's kind of the big story.
That's a hot topic right now.
After that loss yesterday, so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we might talk some more Tigers. We might talk about the NBA All-Star Game, but we'll do whatever we do next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE 722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money. I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap. It's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. Two final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing, and a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
No Brett Norsworthy today. Bryant Dacus, Johnny Hill with you. We got the caution flag out at Daytona. We had a pretty big wreck. I don't know what cars were involved, but I did see it. So, hey, that's your Daytona update. I don't know how many laps we're in. Oh, green flag. Hold on.
I like it.
Let's see. 12 laps in. We're starting lap 12. 200 laps, 12 down. So,
yeah,
198 to go.
Yeah, man. I like it. Daytona updates.
Old Daytona.
But also, Brian, right quick. Shout out to Mike for calling on and
thanks, Mike.
Talking about the Tigers with us. Mike was saying a lot of the bad things were the rebounding, also the defense.
Rebounding's been a huge.
Mike said it's pitiful, and I agree with you, Mike. I agree, and we really do appreciate the callers and everybody interacting with the team.
Here's the thing
with us
about rebounding.
Go ahead, talk about it, Dakis.
And I'll go back to Jordan Brown. Why bring the guy back while you're struggling and not play him? If rebounding's the issue, put him in and see if he can rebound.
Yeah.
But just give him a try. And then when you did give him a try, he played, 4 minutes and got 3 rebounds?
Yeah.
Why not stick with him? I just don't get that. You can have your opinion on Penny should have or should not have brought him back, but I don't think, if you brought him back, play the guy.
Yeah,
and I understand
he's here. He's here now.
Right,
and might as well.
I understand we want to trim the lineup. Believe me, I want to trim the rotation. I do not want this. I don't want to see 13 guys run into the scores table every single night. That's crazy. But like Jordan Brown, I think can give you good minutes. He's a big body. He's in better shape now than he was before he left. Like I think he can really, really give you, something good. So I'm with you. I mean, rebounding has been a huge issue, and when you go on the road to SMU and get out rebound like that just.
That's just a bad look.
It's
man.
not great. It's not great, and SMU does a good job with offensive rebounds, but in terms of just rebounding in general, I really do think yesterday is when Memphis gave up on the season. I just felt like it. I mean, that really felt like one of the first games where they they just didn't really care anymore.
It's like they just threw their arms in the air. Like
it's whatever.
It's over.
A lot of people have been pointing out like
it's like
Walton would just like run down the court, sit in the corner, and like that was just kind of like his entire offense. Like I don't know.
Brian, people don't when you're having a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys want to think me,
right.
But you're in a team game. When you think about team success,
mm-hmm.
when the whole team wins, you will get the opportunity to go to the next level and play in the NBA. You will get an opportunity to get new sponsors. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
But when you lose as a team, it goes down, man.
When I do, I want to give a shout out to Naquan Tomlin. He played well yesterday, 17 points, 3 rebounds, and a block and a steal. He played well. It looked like he was really trying out there. I do want to talk about some of the quotes that came out after the game. Penny, after the game, said, "This was a BS game, man. It's frustrating, very frustrating." Then Jason Munns asked him what was most frustrating about it, and he said, "Effing losing like that. This is terrible, man. This is not competing at all. I don't know what's going on, but it's not competing." I feel like I've heard that sort of thing a lot.
Yeah.
Of I don't really know what's going on, but these guys are not on the same page. I don't know what's going on, but they're just not gelling. I don't know what's going on, but they're not competing. David Jones also, talked to the media yesterday and said, there are guys on the. This was a really, really bad quote, I thought. David Jones said that he agrees that there are some guys on the team who have quit, and this was his exact quote. Quote, "I don't know, maybe because they don't care about basketball, about winning or losing."
Who said that?
This is what David Jones said.
Really?
About the rest of the team. He said, I don't know if they just don't, I don't know if they don't care about basketball. I don't know if they don't care about winning or losing. They just, they just quit. And
that's sound the alarm bells, man.
That's
when you
bad.
hear something like that at a moment like this, oh man, this is bad.
Penny Hardaway also said that there was not a leader in the group, and he said he thought that there wasn't really a leader in the group because everyone's too afraid of hurting each other's feelings. And he said, I think after today, there's going to be some hurt feelings going on. And again, like these locker room concerns are things that it's really bad when these are coming up in February.
And so public.
No,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. So certainly a bad game. Certainly not a good week in Texas. And now they come back against Charlotte, a Charlotte team that is ahead of them in the standings, a Charlotte team that has been playing well, a Charlotte team that just promoted their interim coach to the permanent head coach. And the way the Tigers have been playing, it's not going to be an easy one for them Wednesday night, but we'll talk a lot more about it the next couple of days before that game on Wednesday night. But we need to go ahead. We're late for a break. Let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour. When we come back, we're talking more college basketball with David Cobb.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
The President's Day sales event is on strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. How about 0% for 72 months on all 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorns? Yeah, 0 for 72 on 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorns. How about 8,000 off 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limiteds? We Gossett at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. And how about your new 2023 Dodge Charger $27,990? There's no reason to shop anywhere else. Get to Gossett on the the Pike today. New 2023 Charger 27,990, 2024 Grand Cherokee Limited, 8,000 off and 0 for 72 on all 2024 Bighorns. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett on the Pike or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Charger PH 508-657, MSRP 35,930, Cherokee PC 662620, MSRP 55,760, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Burst pipes can be real headaches, especially with the increasing deep freezes. But don't worry, Choate's has solutions by winterizing your home's plumbing pipes. Our smart water monitor and shutoff system detects leaks and can automatically shut off your water to prevent even bigger leaks. We guarantee your outside faucet won't ever freeze with our Freeze Miser upgrade. And don't forget about heat tape we can install for drains and water pipes, keeping them from freezing down to -40 degrees. Concerned about water quality? The Halo Whole Home Water Filtration System filters out pollutants, ensuring clean showers and pure drinking water for your family. For a free estimate on safeguarding your plumbing system or filtrating your water, give Choates a call at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
There's a couple of spots out here where it started to slow down just in the last few minutes. 55 southbound coming across the bridge over from West Memphis. That's been a little stop and go for a while. It's already busy over here on 240. Normally it'd be eastbound. Over here at Mill Branch, it looks like westbound. Started to slow there at Mill Branch. Give yourself a little bit of extra time. Plenty of radar out here this afternoon. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
Well, we're about to talk to David Cobb. Got a lot to get to with him in the college basketball world. Also some college football things I want to get to with him in this segment. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody, Cal Ripken Jr. is coming to the area this Thursday night. He'll be down at Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia. If you want to go, you can get tickets, heidelcenter.org. But also, we're about to give away some tickets. So join the Heidel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr. on Thursday, February 22nd. Hear the legendary Baseball Hall of Famer whose remarkable career celebrates the dedication it takes to become a true champion. Known as the Iron Man, Cal Ripken Jr. solidified his legacy by playing an astonishing 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. A 19-time All-Star, 2-time AL MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame shortstop inductee, he defied expectations and redefined the shortstop position, leaving an incredible mark on the spot. Don't miss this chance to celebrate the legacy of a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindlCenter.org. That's HEINDL Center.org to see Cal Ripken Jr. At 7:30 on Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindl Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia. And we're going to be giving away tickets. We've got 2 pairs of tickets. So call in, first 2 callers that call in right now, 901-360-8255. You'll get tickets to go down to Senatobia to see Cal Ripken Jr. So go ahead, call in now and win those tickets. But now we're going to talk some college basketball and some college football with David Cobb from CBS Sports. He joins us now. David, thanks so much for joining us, and a lot to get to, but I got to start with the Tigers. Oh, man, 2 losses this past week. Started against North Texas on the road, ended yesterday with a road loss against SMU, a really bad loss. Game that it looked like to me this team has really kind of given up. What did you see over these last 2 games from the Tigers?
Yeah, I think it's over. The bubble conversation, the NCAA tournament talk, it's over. There's no coming back from what happened on Sunday. Defensively, that was among the worst performances, you could imagine. Because if you go and look at the box score from an offensive standpoint, Memphis hit almost 50% of its threes, and David Jones had a big game and those sorts of things. But, the turnovers certainly. I'm with you, Bryant. I felt like they'd given up. And that's a really discouraging place to be in when just a few weeks ago, really, you were ranked. It looked like you were headed towards a really favorable NCAA tournament seeding, and now it's all unraveled so quickly. And I don't know where Memphis goes from here because to me it feels like this whole thing has kind of run its course.
Well, I see a lot of people talking about what is the problem with this Tiger team. And I think there's several things that you can point to on what the issue is. But one thing that I'm curious your thoughts on is kind of the roster construction on this team. I look at this Penny Hardaway team, and it seems like he went out there and said, who can come in and average 20 points a game? And saw, Jaquan Walton over at Wichita State, leading scorer. Javon Quinterly's not happy at Alabama. David Jones at St. John's, and just went and tried to get a bunch of scores. Didn't get a lot of people to come in and kind of be defensive guys, which not a ton of those guys in basketball anymore. But, then I look and I want to talk more at length about what Rick Pitino said yesterday after his game. But I look at Rick Pitino, who kind of did the same thing, kind of, did a complete reface of his roster, brought in a bunch of new guys. Look at Penny Hardaway that brought in a lot of new guys. And then I see some of the top teams in the country, and it seems like they have a good mix of veterans that have been here for a couple of years, transfers, young guys that they recruited, where when I look at St. John's and Memphis, I just see a bunch of transfers and not a lot of players. And for the Tigers, only one current committed player in the class of 2024.
Yeah, which tells me that he's going to double down on this strategy and go heavy on the portal and have 8 or 9 transfers again next season. I don't know if you can go that heavy. It's got to be a balance. It's got to be a mixture of veteran guys in your program, and then you supplement that with a freshman or 2 and a transfer or 2 or 3 or even 4 in this era. And that's typically the formula that leads to success. In fact, I even go back to last year's roster with Memphis, and you had Alex Lomax and Malcolm Dandridge and DeAndre Williams and these guys who had been in the program and understood the basics of what Penny wanted to do. And then the hierarchy was like very clearly established. It was all right. We're going to KD and we're going to DeAndre Williams. And then these other guys that they brought in through the transfer portal, they knew they were there to be role players and the supporting cast. And last year's team was probably the best team that Penny Hardaway's had because it felt like it was a lot closer to that accurate blend of what you need from a roster. And then this year's group is talented.
Yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
doubt. And it's just not working. That defensive DNA, it didn't carry over because there's nobody left on the roster to carry it over. I mean, I guess Malcolm Dandridge's been around for a while, and of course the Hardaway brothers to a certain extent, but it's not the same program. And yeah, you're right. I was looking at Memphis's recruiting stuff earlier. They got one kid committed. He's not a top 100 prospect.
No.
So to me, that suggests Penny's only hope is to go heavy in the portal once again.
Well, for the Tigers, you kind of said, who knows where they go from here, and now back-to-back losses, 3-6, in their last 9 games now in conference play. 5 games left on the schedule. Home against Charlotte on Wednesday, home against Florida Atlantic this weekend, on the road against East Carolina, back home against UAB, and then they end the season on the road against FAU. So 5 games remaining. Just looking at this team right now, in those 5 games, what is the record at the end of the season? I mean, do they 3-2? I saw Jason Munns earlier today with Dave Lotion said, kind of right now the way they're playing, I'd have to say 1-4. Where do you sit over these next 5 games?
Yeah, because it's tough because Charlotte's a really good team, which it was so unexpected. FAU is maybe not elite, but still really good. UAB, East Carolina, neither of those teams are pushovers. They're not among the worst in the AAC, at least. So I would say 2 and 3. I mean, there's a really, really, really good chance that Memphis gets to 20 victories again, which is it just leaves them in this weird no man's land, this purgatory of like, how are we really gonna just go after a coach who's won 20 games 6 years in a row? But then at the same time, it's fallen so far short of all the grandiose exclamations about what was supposed to happen on the front end when, they wanted all the smoke and they were recruiting the best classes in years and the talent was just flooding in. And, so it's not as if the bottom has fallen out of the program. It's just there's no achievement to hang your hat on. I mean, the NIT title, it doesn't carry any weight, right? So it's just like, where are we going with this? We're going nowhere. And again, what do you do with a coach who's won 20 games 6 years in a row? I mean, that's it's not bad. It's not terrible, but it just feels like this thing is falling so far short of what we were sold and what was marketed.
Yeah, it's a very weird spot that they're in right now. We're talking college basketball with David Cobb from CBS Sports. I mentioned Rick Pitino earlier. St. John's, his team played yesterday as well and had a big lead at halftime. I saw Ken Pom gave them a 93% chance of winning the game at halftime. They end up losing to Seton Hall. And after the game, Rick Pitino did not hold anything back. They went on this long stretch to start the second half. I think 12 minutes. They scored 4 points to start the second half. And after the game, Rick Pitino clearly had enough, called his first season at St. John's, quote, the most unenjoyable experience unenjoyable experience of my lifetime. And then some of my other favorite quotes from his post game. He said, quote, do we have, and I'll just insert bad, he said another word that I cannot say on these airwaves, bad facilities. Yes, we do. Having bad facilities has nothing to do with not guarding. Then he proceeded to call out 5 different players on his team that he said are, quote, slow laterally. And then said, quote, we recruited the antithesis of the way I coach with speed, quickness, fundamentals, strength, and toughness. It's a good group. They try hard, but they're just not very tough. What did you make of that? I think one of the more all-time post-game press conferences from Rick Pitino yesterday.
Yeah, wow. The crazy thing is these were all the guys that he went out and got.
Yeah.
And here's this. why did he flip the roster to go out and get bad players?
Crazy.
Players that he's calling bad when he had good players at St. John's.
All the guys that left are like great now.
David Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you will about Memphis, but David Jones he puts up numbers like he's insane. Could still be in the running for AAC Player of the Year, even though he's on a team that's not going to win the league. And then there were 7 guys at St. John's before Rick Pitino got there last season who transferred out and are averaging double figures in other places now.
Crazy.
So, like A.J. Store at Wisconsin. He's been the offensive spark they needed. Posh Alexander is the starting point guard at Butler now, and they're going to make the NCAA tournament. Omar Stanley is playing at Boise State now. Boise's probably going to make the tournament. He was at St. John's. All of these guys that Rick Pitino ran off, you're telling me that like a guy like Omar Stanley wouldn't have rather have played for Rick Pitino in the Big East than having to go to Boise and play in the Mountain West? And and Rick ran all these guys off, got all these guys in, and now he's like, oh, well, they're terrible. And it's like, dude, you didn't have to do that. Like, you had good players at St. John's. You could have kept them. And, so it just, to me, it's sort of silly. It just reflects poorly on him when he's going in on these players, because it's not like the old days where you inherit a roster and it's like, well, these aren't my guys, right? Well, no, dude, these are your guys. Like, you have access to the same transfer portal as everybody else, and these are the players that you recruited. So I don't know, man. I'd be pretty upset if I were one of those players right now. I'd be pretty upset if I were a St. John's fan, because I mean, you sign up for the Rick Pitino experience. You got to be ready for some sort of weird stuff. But like, man, you can't criticize a roster that you recruited.
Well, and the kind of interesting thing about this now is, obviously, and you just kind of mentioned it, this is not the first time Rick Pitino has gone in on his team or anything like that. And I can only imagine if these are the things he's saying to the media, what he's saying during practices. But, he was kind of doing all of that in the day and age of, I have this roster, I'm going to recruit guys, I'm going to bring guys in, and if they want to leave, they have to risk transferring and having to sit out a year, and who knows if they'll want to do that, and stick it rather than stick it out with me, and then he changes programs. Now it's much differently. You get on the wrong side of one of your players, he can just leave, he doesn't have to sit, and now you've got to go try to recruit somebody else, and I just don't know nowadays how many guys are going to want to go to St. John's and play for Rick Pitino when he's calling out players by name to the media. Do you think Rick Pitino can turn this around next year in a couple of years at St. John's?
I still do. I still believe that he'll go out at least having made an NCAA tournament there.
Yeah.
Because I do still think he has the vigor, the energy, whatever.
Oh yeah.
In our national discourse right now, there's a lot of discussion about at what age are you still capable of doing your job to the best of your prior ability, right? Like campaign season and whatnot, and you can bring that to sports if you want to. I mean, Rick Pitino's in that category of like the elites. Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski have hung it up recently at around his age. Jim Boeheim went on into his late 70s, but wasn't quite as effective anymore in this new world of college basketball. And here we got Rick Pitino. He's over the age of 70, and so I don't know, but I see the fire still, obviously, what we saw yesterday. And there were glimpses of this team maybe being good earlier on this year. So I do still believe that he's got a shot. I don't know. I think he's in for another big roster flip. I mean, I think the difference, though, with Rick Pitino is I really believe in him as a coach because of the track record. And so, we talk about Memphis and, like, flipping the roster with transfers. And I just don't have as much belief in that situation at Memphis with Penny because there's not a 4-decade track record there like there is with Rick Pitino of him winning at so many different places. And so, I think Rick Pitino could still get it right. Like, this is probably just going to be a really nasty, ugly bump in the road, and he's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way along the way. But, I still think he gets into the NCAA tournament at some point in the next year or two.
I would love that.
David, what have you seen from, not trying to get off topic of, let's going back to the Tigers. What have you seen from the Tigers that have been the most, would you say, the disappointing that you have seen?
Yeah, it's the turnovers, for one thing. That's obviously been a real problem. I also noticed just from an intangibles perspective, like bad body language. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of times where they don't make the extra pass. And, like, the player who should have received the extra pass, who was one pass away from having a wide open look on the wing or something, his body language drops. And then he's not as engaged defensively the next time down. And I don't know, to me it just feels like there's not a high level of trust in this, in this roster among the players. And, that's really revealed when adversity hits, because if you don't have a deep relationship or a deep trust or a deep understanding of the guy next to you, and that be that any team sport or any walk of life, like when the adversity and the hard times hit, it's difficult to like push through that with somebody who you don't really trust.
Yeah.
And so to me, it just feels like that chemistry. I mean, I know early on, and I believe them, they said that the chemistry was strong, but when the trials come, that chemistry can be tested. And chemistry that's good in the good times, it's not always that way in the bad times when you don't have that sort of trust. And so maybe that's sort of where this thing is breaking down. I don't know, but I've just noticed that, like the body language, when the opponent gets on a run or there's a defensive lapse or somebody doesn't make that extra pass, it kind of seems like the body language and the mojo gets going in a really sour direction.
Yeah. Dave, one of the biggest games over the weekend had to be Kentucky and Auburn Saturday evening. And Kentucky on the road, we had just seen South Carolina go on the road to Auburn and really struggle, but not the case for Kentucky. They came out early and really played extremely well, probably the best game defensively that they've played this season. What did you make of that game? And for this Kentucky defense, we've now seen pretty good defensive performances in back-to-back games against Ole Miss during the week, now against Auburn on the road this weekend. Is this something that you think they might be turning a corner defensively, or is this just maybe a good week and this team could easily go back next week or the week after to the poor defensive play we've been seeing these past couple of weeks?
Oh, Kentucky could totally revert. Like they could totally revert to who they have been for a lot of this SEC campaign. But I'll tell you what the Auburn victory does show you. It shows you their potential. Like it shows you what they're capable of, because they got so much talent. And like when they are fully at their best, they can beat anyone in college basketball. Like Kentucky is that good. So they're going to be one of those teams on Selection Sunday that you're going to look at your bracket and you're going to see them as a 6 seed, and you're going to be like, what in the world do I do with Kentucky?
Yeah.
Because they're good enough at their best to make the Final Four as a 6 seed, and they are bad enough at their worst to lose in the first round by 8 or 9 points, to an 11 seed. So I think it was a reminder of what they're capable of accomplishing. Going on the road and beating Auburn by double digits, that is no joke. Yeah. That is one of the most difficult places to play in college basketball. Auburn is a really, really good team, and Kentucky straight up defended and guarded them like they haven't guarded anybody all year. So, I mean, that shows you what they can do. It's just, do I trust them to do it every night? I'm not sure I'm there yet.
Yeah. You listed y'all had a winners and losers over the weekend on CBS Sports. You listed as one of your losers basically the state of Texas and being on the bubble, and talking about the University of Texas and Texas A&M both lost over the weekend. A&M lost 100-75 on the road against Alabama. Texas lost 82-61 on the road against Houston. Two good opponents, two top 25 opponents, but entering the weekend, your colleague Jerry Palm had them both on the 10 line. The updated bracket today, Texas is still on the 10 line. A&M is an 11. If you had to pick one to be in and one to be out, who would you pick? Would it be Texas to be in and then Texas A&M to be out?
I think I would actually pick Texas A&M to be in.
Oh, wow.
I'm still like a low-key believer in Texas A&M. Like, they might end up in one of those first four games, but if they do, I mean, depending on what the bracket looks like, I could see myself picking them to make the Sweet 16 anyway.
Wow.
Because they were supposed to be good. And, like, Buzz Williams has this, like, knack for messing around, but then getting his team to play gangbusters when it matters. And so I could still see Texas A&M making a run and doing some damage. It's just, with Texas, I don't know. I don't know if I really trust Texas. But with A&M, I see two guards in Wade Taylor and Tyrese Radford, who have been together for a really long time, and a team that has been a bad three-point shooting team, like one of the worst in the country this year. But then on the rare nights when they get hot, look at what they did against Tennessee.
Yeah.
They blew Tennessee out in a way that nobody has all year because they made their threes. And so if they get in a gym that they like in the NCAA tournament, I could just see them turning it on. And I don't know that I've seen that with Texas. I don't know that the Longhorns have showed me enough to where I believe, that they're going to, one, be there on Selection Sunday in the dance, two, that they could do anything if they are. So, yeah, I'm actually still a low-key believer in the Aggies.
Wow. I want to ask you two more quick questions. We're almost out of time. I can't believe we're already out of time. I could talk to you for hours about college basketball. I also wanted to ask you about Steve Sarkisian's contract, but I'm sure you'll talk to Johnny Radio about that tomorrow, so I can hear your answer then. But Arizona, a big win for them over the weekend against Arizona State, 105-60. They've now won 8 of their last 9 games in conference play. Do you think this team is starting to hit their stride? I know, one of the favorites early in the season to win the national championship. They kind of, dropped some games here and there throughout the season, and especially early in conference plays, some head-scratching losses early. But do you think this team might be kind of finding their mojo?
I would like to think so. I'd like to think that Arizona is. I just, I'm still kind of in the believe it when I see it camp with them under Tommy Lloyd. They've like, he's done a great job, but they've not done anything in the NCAA tournament. They lost in, the Sweet 16 his first year when they were, I think, a 1 seed. And then last year they lost in the first round of Princeton in a really, really big upset loss. And now they've kind of shown that they sometimes lose those head scratchers again this year. Like they lost to Oregon State a few weeks back and whatnot. They are playing really well right now. I'll believe it when I see it with Arizona.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I do have money on them to win the national championship and make the Final Four. So I have a little bit of interest in how well they're playing. Last thing for you, David, before we let you go, you wrote, since the last time we talked to you, you wrote about Samford's head coach, Bucky McMillan, and what Samford's been doing over these past couple of years, specifically this season. What have you seen from this Samford team? I'll be honest, last year I was watching a Samford game and they were talking about Bucky McMillan. I was like, I know this guy. Where do I know this guy from? And it was because he was Trendon Watford's head coach when he was at Mountain Brooks High School in Alabama. What do you like about Bucky McMillan and what this Samford team has done this year?
Yeah, he actually coached against Memphis East when Penny was the coach at East.
Yeah.
So those two, I believe, are the only two in Division I who made the jump from high school straight to Division I college coaching.
Wow.
But Samford, you could almost call them this year's FDU if you wanted to just boil it down to something like that. They're an undersized team. They go fast. They're a good three-point shooting bunch. Granted, they did lose to Purdue in the season opener, so you can kind of like end the similarities there if you want. But it's pretty amazing what this guy's doing. I mean, to localize it to Memphis, it would be like the former Houston high school coach getting a Division I job and then all of a sudden leading that team to the top of his conference. It's pretty incredible because he was just a suburban high school coach, and he's gotten all this booster support locally there in Birmingham because he's from there, and he was a successful high school coach there and an AAU coach there, and so he's been able to rally support for that program in a way that nobody before him ever had.
Wow.
And with that, you see them really making a run at the SoCon title, which would get them in the NCAA tournament as probably a 12th seed, and they could be really dangerous. So, yeah, Bucky McMillan is a name to know. He's going to have some big-time schools after him in the years ahead. I think it's going to take something pretty special to pry him away from Samford, though.
Yeah, sounds like it, especially being kind of those local ties that he has. Well, David, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, I appreciate it, Brian. Thanks.
Thanks, David. David Cobb, he joins us every single Monday to talk college basketball and college football. I wanted to talk about Steve Sarkisian's extension, but we just ran out of time. But go check out that story about Bucky McMillan and Samford. They're a team that I've brought up a couple of times that I think might be a sleeper in the tournament. David Cobb does a terrific job talking about Bucky McMillan. Go check out all his work at cbssports.com. Well, we need to get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking bracketology with Shelby Mass from bracketwag.com.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app. or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
How many times have we said that Bell Tavern, Memphis's perfect bar, is not a sports bar? Granted, much of the year, sports are one of the main attractions at any bar. But at Bell Tavern, a great time can be had without having to keep checking the score. It's a slow time of year for sports, but it's never a slow time of year to go to a great bar with the perfect atmosphere, coldest beer, and the nicest people you're likely to meet. Chances are, even if you're a huge sports fan, when you leave after a visit to Bell Tavern, you'll be surprised to realize you never thought about them once. You were having too good a time at Bell Tavern.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. Two final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
Join the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr. February 22nd and celebrate a true champion. Ironman Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. This 19-time All-Star, two-time American League MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee is a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindelCenter.org to see Cal Ripken Jr. 7:30 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia.
Sports 56 Traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD on the scene of a couple of accidents. Traffic's been a little bit lighter than normal. A lot of folks are off today, so that's taken a lot off the traffic flow, especially over here in the construction zone. It's moving right now, 55 northbound between McLemore, South Parkway. It wants to build from time to time. Sam Cooper going outbound towards the interstate. Once you get on I-40, that still looks like a pretty good shot right now from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you. No Brett Norsworthy today, but he'll be back tomorrow. And joining us now from bracketwag.com to talk bracketology, Shelby Mass joins us now. Shelby, thanks so much for joining us. And I want to start off with the Tigers. You no longer have the Tigers in your bracket. You also do not have them in the first four out or the next 4 out. And I think a lot of people here in Memphis would agree with you on that after what we saw yesterday against SMU. It just looked like they've given up. It looked like they were not trying for really most all of that game. Even early in the game when it was a little bit closer, it just looked like they had given up. What have you seen from this Tiger team over these last 2 losses in Texas, specifically yesterday against SMU, that has had you put them completely out and you now have them down with the others considered for at-large bids?
I think you pretty much nailed it. They just don't look competitive. They don't look like they want to be on the floor playing. I don't know what's going on, if they're having a conflict amongst themselves or with coach. Something ain't working right, and if they want to have a chance to play on into March in the big boy tournament, they better figure it out.
Yeah, and they better figure it out fast. 5 games left in the regular season and then to the conference tournament, and they've really struggled lately in conference play, so it certainly will not be easy for them. For another semi-local team, I guess regional team, Ole Miss, you have them currently in your bracket. You have them on the 10 line right now. What do you like about this Ole Miss team? And lost last week to Kentucky, pulled out one, had to come back and win over Missouri over the weekend. What do you like about this Ole Miss team right now? And do you think they have enough to continue to play well throughout the end of the regular season to stay inside your bracket?
I would like to hope that they would. I think Chris Beard is a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to get the most out of his players. Whether the talent is there, I'm just not sure. I like what I saw from them in the early season. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
They wasn't against the best competition, but it was still good. But they're getting to a point in the season where it's going to be tough games from here on out, and we're going to see if they really can live up to what they've done so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw on Saturday morning they came out with their bracket reveal for March Madness. The committee did, and did their top 16 teams for the bracket. So their 1 seeds, their 2 seeds, their 3 seeds, and their 4 seeds. How much do you pay attention to that? How much does that help you? Is it kind of like where you can look and see, okay, this is kind of what they're thinking, and this is kind of how I should look at mine, or do you not really pay much to that until we actually get to Selection Sunday?
I absolutely paid attention to it. All 16 teams they mentioned were the 16 I had up there.
All right.
Not exact order, but it was still, they let me know I was doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of baffled me for a little bit. They had North Carolina as the 5th overall, and Marquette as 7th. Me and a lot of other people had those flip-flops.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no real argument with it. I think they did a good job. But it led kind of a barometer to how I'm doing, and I feel okay with it.
Absolutely. Well, Purdue, they had very high. They had the number 1 overall seed, but then we saw the very next day after that Purdue losing to Ohio State on the road against an Ohio State team that had an interim coach in there after they fired Chris Holtmann last week. Does that kind of loss worry you? I know this year in particular, it seems to be very hard for ranked teams to go on the road, especially against unranked teams, and come out with wins. Does that worry you at all for this Purdue team that for a lot of people, I think, are going into this tournament saying, you've got to prove it to me before I believe in you this year?
Yeah, when a team fires their coach mid-season, they generally do one of 2 things. They pack up and go home, they're done, or they get inspired to play tough for the coach, the new guy. And I wanted to wait and see what we'd get, and I think it was the latter of the 2. I don't really think that's anything to worry about for Purdue. I think if they lose 1 or 2 more during the regular season, then you start to worry. But that game, it's a weird situation you're going in, and you just don't know how they're going to react.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that one. We're talking to Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com. Head over to BracketWag.com. Check out his most recent bracket that is up, and he updated it last night, so he is Certainly one of the most active in terms of updating their bracket, which I absolutely love. We've got a big game tonight in Big 12 play. Iowa State in Houston, at Houston. Right now, Iowa State, you have them on the 3 line. Houston, a 1 seed. How much would this do for both teams? If Iowa State wins this game on the road to Houston against Houston, how much would that do for them? And then on the other side, if Iowa State wins tonight, what would that do for Houston?
For Houston, if they lose, I don't think it would do anything. It might knock them down below Arizona on the 1 line, but that's about it. Iowa State could possibly jump to the 2 line because that'd be a sweep of Houston, and that's an awful hard ask.
Sure is.
I had Iowa State on the 2 line Saturday, and the committee did not, and I think this could put them back up there.
Yeah, I'm with you. You also have, you're talking about your 1 seeds, your current 1 seeds, UConn, Purdue, Houston, and Arizona. I really like this Arizona team, especially before the season started. I really like the guys they brought in this roster that they've built. And they've dropped a couple here and there, a couple of head scratchers earlier in the season in Pac-12 play. But when you look at this Arizona team, I think they've won 8 of their last 9 games, just came off a big win against rival Arizona State. Do you think they're kind of hitting their stride now, and what do you view them as a team for March?
I'm still torn. I think the talent is there, the coaching is there, but they haven't lost many, but those that they have lost have been kind of head scratchers, make you wonder where their head is. And so going into the tournament, and remember, they lost first round last year.
Yeah.
So are they going to, they've got the talent to get it together and make a run, but I worry about their headspace.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Some of those losses, like you mentioned, just how do you lose those games?
Right.
Shelby, who is a sleeper team right now in your bracket that people ain't paying attention to, that you really feel like they should pay attention to this team down the stretch?
I think Florida's one right now. They made some good strides. They had a good team early on, but the resume wasn't up to snuff. And they seem to have turned that around. The schedule has worked out where they can turn it around and get some quad 1 wins. And they're playing pretty dang good ball. That's a team I would not want to face right now.
Right now, Shelby, you have Cincinnati as one of your last 4 outs. When you look at this Big 12, we already talked about Iowa State and Houston. How many teams do you think the Big 12 gets, and what does Cincinnati have to do to be one of those teams that get in?
I think the Big 12 will get 9.
Wow.
Cincinnati can play well enough over the last few weeks and then maybe get to the semis of the Big 12 tournament. They're going to be in the discussion. And I think that's about all you can ask right now. That to be in the discussion, you're still there. You're relevant. And, Cincinnati, I didn't expect them to do much this year because first year Big 12, that could be a shock to their system. And, boy, they've really, really impressed. But will they put 10 in from the Big 12? I don't know. It's going to be tough.
That'd be wild. I'm also seeing in your next 4 out, you've got Wake Forest. Wake Forest has been kind of a weird team. They've been a fun team to watch this year. I've really enjoyed watching the style that they play at and some of these guys that have really stepped up for this team. But it just seems like every time they're right there, it seems like they're close to being in the bracket, they drop one that they should win or they just can't get something going. And it just feels like all year long, especially in conference play, they kind of been teetering on that, you're close to being in, and then you're not really going to get in. Does it seem like it's close to over for Wake Forest?
Yeah, it kind of does. And I think you said that right. It's like I want them to be there. I want to be able to put them in. But then they lose a game they shouldn't, or they lose a close one. But what's going to hurt them most is the ACC is down. So the opportunity is not going to be there either in the regular season or in the tournament. They may be able to get it done, but it is not going to be easy.
Last thing for you, Shelby, you also have St. John's in your next 4 out. Did you see what Rick Pitino said after his game yesterday? Went off and talked about the bad facilities that St. John's has, but that doesn't do anything for playing defense, called out a bunch of his players by name. What have you made of this season for Rick Pitino and St. John's?
it had promise
Yeah.
midway through the year. I had them up to an 8 seed, and I was considering moving them up higher. And now they've lost, I think it's 8 of 10, and worked their way out. And yesterday they were leading till late and fell apart. And I don't know if I like what he said or not, but that takes guts to do that, and it makes me wonder if he's in a situation he really doesn't want to be in now.
Yeah, very weird. And like you said, I mean, I think I saw 93% chance to win the game at halftime and then scored like 4 points in the first 12 minutes of the second half. I mean, just completely unraveled in that second half against Seton Hall.
You don't win many games scoring 4 points over 12.
No, not at all. I mean, really, really bad. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do this again next Monday.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Shelby. Shelby Mast from bracketwag.com. Head over to his website. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to throw shots at some of the other guys that do brackets. Yeah. Some of these guys update it once a week, 2 times a week. Shelby Mast is updating his daily.
Yeah.
I mean, he is updating it as much as possible. So if you want, up to date, I mean, daily updates on brackets, go to bracketwag.com and check out Shelby's bracket. And, I mean, really, really some interesting things in there. Some really, really interesting things that he has there in his bracket. And one of those being Gonzaga. He has Gonzaga as his one of his last 4 teams in. I've seen a lot of people kind of, mixed on Gonzaga. Can they make it? Will they make it? WCC is not a great conference. It's very top heavy when you've got St. Mary's and Gonzaga, and then there's kind of a big gap.
Yeah, big gap of everybody else.
But he has Gonzaga in. I would love to see Gonzaga in right now.
Man, and that just shows the work that he put into doing his craft, man.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, you made a real great point. A lot of people do it like weeks, and he does it daily. Yeah. So, man, big shout out to him, man, because he does great work. He do phenomenal work.
Also, and I was thinking about this because I was looking at his bracket earlier, and I noticed this, and then I was looking at it again while we were talking to him, and I noticed it again. And I don't know if that ever happens to you, where you'll notice something or something will stick out to you and you're like, I gotta remember that, and then you'll forget about it.
Yeah, you'll forget about it,
and you'll be reminded by something. So every year when people fill out brackets, they go,
I'm about to fill out one.
Well, you always got to have a 12 over a 5. It's always you're always gonna get a 12 seed beating a 5 seed. Listen to his teams on the 12 line. Samford, who is 23-4 right now, who we just talked to David Cobb about, and there's a great story over on CBS Sports about Bucky McMillan and the Samford team written by David Cobb. Grand Canyon, who is 24-2 this season.
Okay.
And one of their losses was to South Carolina.
Grand Canyon actually pretty good.
Good team, Grand Canyon is. Bryce Drew, their head coach. Indiana State is on his 12 line, 22-5. They were just in the top 25, but just lost both games since being ranked in the top 25.
For sure.
Very fun team. A lot of people have been pointing them out. And McNeese State, who's 23-3 and coached by Will Wade.
Oh, man.
Look here. I don't want to pick all 12s over 5s, but if those are the 4 teams on the 12 line, oh, buddy. I mean,
man. I like Grand Canyon.
You're going to have to pull me away from picking all 4 of those
Man,
teams.
I like Grand Canyon.
Let's see, speaking of that, and I know we got to get to a break, but I want to see who he has on the 5 line.
Go ahead and look at it right quick.
Because that would be 12 versus 5. Kentucky, I like that Kentucky team. Clemson, I could bet against Clemson. Dayton, I kind of like Dayton. And Wisconsin, I could 100% pull a 12 over 5 against Wisconsin. 100%. So there's 2 teams. I'll bet against Clemson. I'll bet against Wisconsin. I don't know about Dayton, Kentucky. You got to sell me on Dayton.
Man, Kentucky. I just feel, I feel like if Kentucky just bring it all together, man, the talent that they got,
exactly.
man. Like
you just don't know what Kentucky team's going to show up.
Yes,
Are you
they
going to
just
get a
don't
good
pull it
defensive
together.
performance, or are you going to get a terrible defensive performance? There's really no in between.
Exactly.
It's either they're really good defensively or they're awful.
And it's either one or two. It's no in the middle with them. They're just so talented, man.
They are. They've got a lot of really good young players. But we need to get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
All 650 acquisition fee, Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21590, Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing, and a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
What up, big guy? I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Johnny.
Okay, man.
How about you start us off for big number?
Oh, you want me to start us off?
Do you have a big number?
I do got one.
All right.
It's pretty big.
All right, let's hear it.
Hey, man, let me first tell the audience I did my research on this, man.
They don't care.
Hater. That sound like a hater to me. I don't think you can match this number, man.
All right, let's
51, man.
51.
That's a big number, huh?
All right, I like
That's
it.
a big number.
That's right.
Okay, we all know who Juju Watkins is, man.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, looking back at her performance, man, it was just an amazing performance.
Yeah.
It's the most points in USC women's basketball history, man.
Wow.
And the second most points, get this, Brian, get this, in Pac-12 history,
Wow.
man. That's legendary,
That
man.
is. I like
That's
that.
pretty
That's
legendary.
a good big number. That all?
Well, let me see what. Oh yeah, also, it's the most points versus a top 5 team over the last 25 seasons.
I like that. I like it. 2 really good big numbers, Johnny. I like
Yes,
it.
sir,
Well, I
man.
guess 1 really good big number, but good stats with it. I really enjoyed that. My big number. Let me go pull it up. Hold on. I lost
Do
it.
you got one?
No, I have one.
Do you
but
got one?
I'll be honest. I was trying to check my my bets for the Daytona 500.
Oh man!
Don't ask how we're doing.
We
We're not doing well. And I have a buddy who told me I'm gonna handicap all of these games. Stop playing with that box opener while your mic's on. Everyone can hear you playing with that box opener. Everybody just heard that. I'm playing. But I had a buddy said I'm gonna handicap all of these NASCAR races and I'll give you picks and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
You know how many picks I've gotten today for the Daytona 500?
Zero.
And I was already playing like, I'll bet on it. Like, I'll have it on the background. Why not? And so I just, had to go out and bet on guys that I like, and they're not doing so hot. So.
Dang it, Dakis.
It happens.
Sorry.
My big number today is 258.
That's way bigger than 51.
Big number. Last night in the NBA All-Star game, we got the first ever 200-point game in an All-Star game. The East team scored 211 points. That is the second most ever by an NBA or NCAA team in a game. That's including regular season, postseason, or All-Star games. The most was by Troy, who was a Division II school at the time and beat DeVry 258-141 on January 12th, 1992.
Yeah. Okay.
250. What do you mean? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's a decent number, Brian. It was okay.
A team scored 258 points. 258 points in a game, in a regular season game, Johnny.
Okay, man. Okay, that's pretty good, Dake.
It was D2, but still, 258 points. They played good basketball in Division II.
Yeah? Good. Well, let me tell you something, Dakis. You know what? It's a good number. It's a good number. I heard better from you, but that's a good number, man.
Now, this account that posted this says, video evidence apparently shows that the final score of the game versus Troy and DeVry should have been 253 to 141, but the Division II record book has kept the original 258 to 141 final score.
Oh, so they're in history.
So yes, when you go to the Division II NCAA scoring records, scoring points, the record is 258 by Troy versus DeVry in Georgia, who had 141.
You know what, man?
Hope you had the over in that game.
Yeah, maybe my excitement wasn't there. That's pretty legendary.
That's incredible.
That's pretty legendary.
We're talking about, wow, 211 points in an All-Star game. This happened in a regular game. 258?
With defense.
Oh,
with defense.
I don't know. Maybe the rules were different back then, and nobody played defense. I don't know. 258 to 141? That's crazy.
That's insane.
It says there's video evidence. I want to go see the video.
If the video don't leak, do you believe it?
Should I use that big number again tomorrow for Brett?
He'll love it.
Because we got to give him props tomorrow for
being
on the 200.
Yeah,
so
for history. He making history in 2024. Yeah.
I'll do reruns and I'll have the same big number.
I support it.
Yeah.
Until he have a number that's out of this world.
He'll probably have a pretty good big number tomorrow. But we need to wrap up this hour and get to a break. And when we come back, speaking of the NBA All-Star Game, we're talking some NBA because DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, he joins us next.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Our mission, to exceed your expectations, provide quality service with urgency, and be there for when you need us most. There is nothing more frustrating than a clogged drain, shower, kitchen, or toilet. They disrupt your life. But don't worry, Choate's is here to get those drains flowing again. With the latest tools, technology, and expert professionals, we're ready to tackle any clog, anytime. We also believe in the power of preventative maintenance, and now is the time to be proactive with Choate's $93 drain inspection. This special offer includes a camera inspection of your sewer with a full assessment of your drainage system. That's a $199 value now for only $93 this month. Give your family the peace of mind they deserve and prevent those unwanted clogs. Call us today at 347-8086 to schedule your $93 drain inspection. And remember, Choate's, let our family serve your family.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is, when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Yo, Mark, long time no see. You still down at Dyer's?
Man, I'm not down at Dyer's. I'm out at Collierville Historic Town Square.
When'd you move out there?
We've been out there for about 13 years. We've got the shops, the park. We got the train the kids like to play on.
You still cooking those burgers the old-fashioned way?
Man, we're still flattening out those hamburger balls on a slab of marble and skillet frying them the old-fashioned way like they've been doing for 100 years.
Dude, you still have those onion rings.
Man, they're fantastic. Hand-breaded, served up just right.
I loved those milkshakes. Please tell me you're still doing those.
Man, we are hand-dipping those shakes, putting them in the old glass in the shake tin, served the old-fashioned way.
You got any new items out there I need to know about?
We're just doing a lot of gourmet sandwiches. We've got farm-raised catfish straight out of the Delta. We've got some hot tamales from Pasquale's Tamales out of Helena, Arkansas.
Man, are they served in the husk?
What those guys like to say, they're so good, you'll suck the shuck.
Go see my buddy Mark at Dyer's Cafe in Collierville's historic town square.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's been a little bit lighter than normal. Earlier, they were moving some debris on 40 westbound across the bridge, headed back over towards West Memphis. Wasn't causing too much of a backup. TDOT knows help trucks around here with a couple of stalled vehicles. A little bit of traffic wanting to build through the Midtown area on 240 South coming past South Parkway. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you. No Brett today. He'll be back tomorrow. But joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, the Grizzly beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, DeMichael Cole, joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. It's All-Star break right now for the players, but how is DeMichael Cole spending his All-Star break?
Man, feet kicked up, laid back, catching up on some old movies and all that good stuff.
Deserved it.
Relaxing, man. Relaxing.
Good. What did you think of All-Star Weekend? I know a lot of people talking about the game today. What did you make of the game and All-Star Weekend itself?
Well, the game was trash. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I think it's a product of, like, the cool thing to do now. Yeah. Like, all you got to do is go back 15 years ago, and guys were competing their butt off in the game. And now you hear, we want a pay incentive, and you hear, about the risk of injury and things like that. And that's always been the case. When you pick up a basketball at the age of 5, 6, 7, from that point on, anytime you step on the floor, there's an injury risk. So, yes, that's all part of it, but it's kind of reminded me of the Pro Bowl now. There are going to be some adjustments that need to be made to fix that. Going to Saturday, I think Saturday was fine. Skills challenge is okay. The three-point contest is always going to be really good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think now the question is about the dunk contest. And I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion. I don't know if it is a popular opinion. But my thought process is, look, congratulations to Mac McClung. He did his thing 2 years in a row.
Sure.
So he should even be in the dunk contest, in my opinion. Not the NBA dunk contest.
I think you're right.
I think Saturday at 2 o'clock, because there are a lot of All-Star Weekend events that people don't know about. Saturday at 2 o'clock, there was an NBA G League Slam Dunk Contest. That's the one that Mac McClung should have been in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what makes these events good is the build-up, the hype, right? Why was Saturday the viewership of 54%? It's because of the build-up and the hype into the Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu three-point shooting contest. You hype the slam dunk contest by getting those stars. However you get the star buy-in. And it doesn't even have to be superstars. Just some of the best high flyers. You can get a Shaden Sharp, Anthony Simon, maybe Obi Toppin comes back, and add in a job potentially, a Zion, or whatever the case may be. That's how you build up. And even if the dunk contest, quote unquote, fails at that point, you're still going to get the viewership because of the names. You're still going to get the attention. I don't think Mac McClung headlining your slam dunk contest is really going to, do it for the longevity of this competition.
No, I'm absolutely with you on that. I mean, it was an interesting dunk contest for sure. But you mentioned Ja Morant, and Ja has been very vocal in the past about not wanting to participate in the dunk contest and saying, you're gonna have to pay me if I'm gonna be a part of the dunk contest. Do you think we get to a point where Ja Morant participates in the dunk contest, and what do you think it would take to get him there?
Well, Ja has the pool, and I think that's what he has to understand. There are probably 3 or 4 NBA players, maybe even less than that. Probably like 2 or 3 NBA players where if they get in the dunk contest, they have the power to convince.
Yeah.
Like Ja can say, Zion, let's do this thing. And Zion do it. Or LeBron James, even at his age now, LeBron can still get up. Like LeBron can say, you know what, let me just do it for the heck of it. And a couple guys are going to say, LeBron's doing it. Let's go ahead and do it. Like there are a few guys out there that have that type of pool. That's where it starts for me. I think if Ja can look at the bigger picture of it as in terms of, hey, if I do this, I can get other guys involved, then I think there's a chance he does it. If it's just, him going up against, I'm just being honest. Like, it's no disrespect to Mac McClung, but if you're telling Ja he's going against Mac McClung, I think you're putting him in a lose-lose situation. If he beats McClung, it's like, well, congratulations. You're supposed to. And if he loses, it's like, Ja, and he gets clowned like Jaylen Brown, even though Jaylen Brown, didn't do anything like fantastic or whatnot. But I think the appeal is a part of it as much as anything now. Like, you've heard it 100 times at this point. Most of the dunks have been done, like the physically possible dunks. Now it's about the presentation. It's about, the hype and things like that. And that's what the dunk contest is about. And in order to get the the proper height, the presentation, you need that star power, and who better than Ja to kind of make that happen?
I completely agree with what you're saying about the dunk contest, like Brian been saying as well. It's just the stars are not there, man, and they're not involved. And I feel that they did have the name like Ja Morant, a rising guy like a guy like Anthony Edwards in the dunk contest. Like, it will get back to being one of the main things, because one thing about it, the dunk contest is the last thing about All-Star on that Saturday night, but it's not the best. The 3-point competition is. So what do you think? Do you think a rotation need to be flipped with the 3-point competition going last, or the dunk contest just going in the middle? What do you think about that?
I still think you, like, as of right now, like this moment, you still keep the dunk contest last. But if this is the reality, like if they, because I think you got to try to do something right at this point. Like you try to make one more change to get the stars. Like I know people have been talking about the money incentive, but you do something to try to get the stars back into the competition. Not even the star players, just the star dunkers of the NBA. Like we're not even getting the star dunkers. I mean, with all due respect, like I already talked about McClung, but Jacob Toppin too. Like. We don't get to see him dunk much in games. Like that's not the appeal. This dunk contest had the appeal, in my opinion, because Jaylen Brown, who is actually a really good in-game dunker, was in. So it's like everybody wanted to see what Jaylen Brown was going to do, and that's how you get it. You know, that's how you get that appeal, and I think that's a big part of it. And if you can't get the stars in the game, not just the star players, but the star dunkers, then I agree. I think that's when you look into, the 3-point competition is steady. Like, it's always going to have that rush. You don't have to change much. The 3-point contest is what it is. And, again, you don't have to change much. So at some point we could see, that being the last competition. But I think you got to try to make some adjustments with the slam dunk contest, and then you go from there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of All-Star Weekend, Friday night we had the Rising Stars game, and Vince Williams Jr. was a part of that. And I kind of like the way they're doing the Rising Stars game, where they kind of break it up into 4 teams and do kind of a little bit of a tournament, start in the semifinals, have the finals. But for Vince Williams Jr., I mean, this is a guy that, we've talked about it a lot, but was, in South Haven all year last year. Not a lot of people knew much of anything about him this year. He has to get called up because of the injuries, because of Ja Morant's suspension early in the year, and had to play some minutes. And now you've seen what you're getting from him. You put him on a standard contract, and then because of injuries, he gets awarded with a nomination to the Rising Stars game. What did you make of just kind of this whole season, start of the season, culminating into him being in the Rising Stars? And tough for him. I mean, after a back-to-back, having to fly straight up there and participate in that Friday night, but it was still fun to see him out there.
Yeah, it was, right? Right. It was a great experience for him, and I mean, it's the way he earned this opportunity. I mean, you just hit the nail on. Go up and down that roster. Look at those guys in there, and you see a bunch of high first-round picks. You see a bunch of guys who, with hype, with the G League guys. That's what you saw. And then there's Vince Williams, right? Yeah. Second-round pick. And it just was a difference. Like, Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, even Brandon Podziemski. He's a first-round pick playing for Golden State. Hawkins, in the dunk contest, starting for the Miami Heat, Jabari Smith. Even Cason Wallace, like, to a certain degree. First-round pick playing on, that team. Like, all those guys pretty much were first-round picks, or they're playing big roles on teams expectantly. Jordan Hawkins is probably the one player that I guess had the least amount of hype outside of Vince Williams from that standpoint. But, I mean, it just goes to show, like, the work that he's put in. No one saw this coming, like a Rising Stars game. No one saw that. Like this is a whole nother level. I thought there was very good 3-and-D profile with Vince Williams Jr. in terms of he was very good at 2 things. And was shooting the 3-pointer and then in defending. The rebounding has been plush, just like it was in the G League. The playmaking, I mean, I think he's on 6-game streak right now, 5 or more assists.
Yeah.
Like, he's rolling. That we didn't see that. We didn't know about that even when he was in G League. Even though he said, "Oh, that's something I've always had," but he hadn't had that opportunity because he's playing with all these other guys who have the ball in their hands more than he does. So this is just I think a typical case of you hear a lot of basketball players. It's usually the ones that don't make it in the NBA that say this, but you hear it a lot. Guys say, "Hey, the NBA is all about opportunity."
Mm-hmm.
This is, if you want to say the NBA is all about opportunity, put a picture of Vince Williams up there, and that can be your case study. This is a guy who really didn't play last season. This is a guy who, again, we saw this if you go back and look at the summer league, the Grizzlies were 4-0.
Yeah.
When Vince Williams played. Remember, they lost those games when he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Summer league, and he looked like this, like to a lesser degree. And of course, it's summer league, so the team just play looks messy, like it's summer league basketball. Right. But you saw the signs of this, and even when the season started, there was little talk about Vince Williams being a rotation player. It wasn't until late November, early December, when a herd of injuries hit the Grizzlies, he got an opportunity, and he ran with it. So I think, he's the case study for, you give me an opportunity, I'll make something happen.
No, you're absolutely right about that. We're talking to DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. He's the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. Let's talk about the Grizzlies themselves. Really good 2 games before the All-Star break against Houston, and then that big one against the Bucks to end it out on TNT. And that was a big game for Zaire Williams. Had a really good game, 27 points. And this is a guy that over these last couple of years has struggled, has dealt with a handful of injuries, and really has not been able to get into a rhythm, but a really good game for him against the Bucks. And he said after the game, talking to you and the rest of the media, about these conversations he's been having with Taylor Jenkins, kind of behind the scenes of kind of what the future is like for him, what he needs to do to get consistent playing time, to be a factor on this team. And he said that has really helped. What did he say? What did Taylor Jenkins say about his improvement, his production, and what these conversations have been about going on behind the scenes?
Well, Zaire kind of touched on it from a confidence perspective, what it's doing for his confidence. And Taylor Jenkins likes to talk about being up front with players from a communication standpoint, and I think that's more of his angle, just letting Zaire and even some of the other guys know that this is an excellent chance at an opportunity. Talk is cheap at this point because everybody's going to get a chance to play. Like, everybody's getting an opportunity right now. This is almost like an open tryout, an extended open tryout. So there's no more talk. It's time to show. And, Zaire Williams knows this is a big opportunity for him. He talked about how, confidence-wise, those conversations with Taylor has really helped him. And now it's just, where does he go from here? Like, I think as we've seen, like, in these last couple games, like, Zaire Williams is doing some of the things that he's been good at, whether it's running the floor. We see him catching alley-hoops. And I remember early on in the season, when he was starting and playing alongside of Marcus Smart, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., and all those guys, he wasn't really catching alley-hoops. Like, he wasn't even getting alley-oop opportunities. So I don't know if it's him kind of rounding more into his games or his teammates realizing his strengths and weaknesses, but the question is always going to be with Zaire Williams' consistency. I mean, that game we just saw was arguably the best game he's had.
Yeah.
With the Grizzlies, career high in points. He had 3 steals to go with it as well. His defense on Damian Lillard, you can make an argument is that's what won the game down the stretch. Dame had 1 made field goal in the fourth quarter, in large part because Zaire Williams was all over him.
Yeah.
So it's all about consistency from here for him. Like, 27 points, looks good. You look like that top 10 pick that the Grizzlies invested in. Now let's see if you could do this over a month stretch. Because you know what? That's why G.G. Jackson just got his money. That's why Vince Williams just got his money. They've shown the ability. In G.G. Jackson's case, he's putting up points pretty much most nights out there. Of course, he's 19, so he has an off night every now and then. But for the most part, you can know that he is a bucket. Vince Williams Jr., we just mentioned, he's stuffing his stat sheet. He's rebounding. He's grabbing the assists. He's guarding the toughest guy each and every night on the perimeter. You know what you're going to get from those guys. Zaire Williams, you still don't know yet, so you need to see it over a longer period of time.
Well, you just mentioned Gigi Jackson and also kind of talking about defense from Zaire and kind of looking at Gigi, you mentioned, I mean, can go out and get you 20 points any night, but is young, has some of those off nights. And because of his youth, I mean, this is a guy that should be playing college basketball right now, should be a freshman in college right now if he hadn't reclassified. One of the knock on him has been kind of defensively. He has defensive lapses. He, kind of struggles at times on the defensive end of the court, but has, the length, has the size to be a good defender. Have you seen over these last handful of games just kind of getting more and more experience in the NBA? Have you seen some small improvements? Do you see those improvements from Gigi on the defensive end?
Yeah, for sure. He just had a 3-block game.
Yeah.
And you pretty much just touched on it, but physically, there's nothing wrong.
No.
Nothing. I mean, the only thing you can point to physically is the fact that he's 19, which is everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have that, it's called grown man strength and all that, and he doesn't have that yet. So, yeah, he's going to get pushed around a little bit. And, I mean, he even joked about it, when he was talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo pinching him and nudging him and stuff, and he told Giannis, to chill out, like, my core isn't that strong yet. And that's the case with him more than anything. And that's the physical part. But the bigger part of it is the mental thing. And this is what pretty much every young defense player goes through. Is what like people tell me. Like it's learning, not just coverages, reads, and things like that, but it's dealing with all of those things and learning the speed of the game and learning how you're adjusting to the spacing. The spacing of the NBA is completely different from college basketball. You're on an island a little bit more, but you're playing faster. You're shifting a little bit more, and all these different things. Like, you have to be on top of that, and that's a lot to throw at young players. It's not just him. All the young guys go through it. It was the same thing last year with Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, and all those guys were finding it was the same thing with Zaire Williams the year before that during his rookie season. Yeah. Like, that is part of the adjustment as a rookie, the mental adjustment. But physically, he's got the tools to turn into something nice on that end.
No, he definitely does. Another guy that has been impressive and was just acquired by the Grizzlies in the trade with the Boston Celtics, Lamar Stevens, has been playing well, 10 points, 14 points, 13 points. And I remember, I think it was the game against Houston. I was not there in attendance. I watched the game at my house, and it seemed like, especially in the fourth quarter, both offensive and defensively, it seemed like every single time up and down the court, you heard Lamar Stevens' name being called, either scoring a bucket, getting a rebound, poking a ball free. He was just super active in that game against Houston. What have you seen over these last 3 games from Lamar Stevens?
Man, so I'll tell you a quick story. So, most of the players, Jaron went to Turks and Caicos.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson went back home to South Carolina. I think Zaire Williams went to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
Brandon Clark went to Turks and Caicos. Like, a lot of these guys are getting away, taking a break, right? Lamar Stevens is in Memphis.
Really?
Like, you would think that'd be the first guy to say, "Oh, I'm getting up out of here."
Yeah.
Like, I gotta. Lamar, you know why? It has nothing to do with familiarity. He just needs to sit down.
Yeah.
After that game, he was talking, and he looked drained. He's in the locker room, he's sitting down, and this is coming after playing 29 minutes and guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo for a large part of that time. And I'm looking at him and I tell him, I'm like, yeah, I already you're tired. That was a lot of bumping tonight.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, not just tonight. And then I said, oh yeah, that's right. You did have Zion Williamson as well. I'm like, Giannis and Zion, and he said, Sagoon too.
Ooh, yeah.
Now you had Sagoon, you had Zion, and you had Giannis back to back to back, 3 games and what, a 4-day stretch.
Yeah.
Like, so him being that all goes, like, what he's bringing to them is a physical defender who Taylor Jenkins is already trusting in those type of matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets back to what you were alluding to earlier, the scoring. He shot at least 50% in all 3 games, 10 points, 14 points, 13 points. 7 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 5 rebounds. Like, the physicality, the scoring, the defense, it's plus. Like, This is the type of guy the Grizzlies need off of their bench right now. And I tell you what, like, he's one of those guys playing for kind of his NBA future at this point. He's on the last year of a deal.
Sure.
You know, the way he's playing, if he keeps this up over a long period of time, like, don't close the door on this guy being back.
Wow, that would be such a fun story if that does happen. Well, DeMichael, before we get you out of here, 26 games left on the schedule. The Grizzlies get back in action Friday against the Clippers. What are some things you're keeping an eye on? What are some maybe storylines or just things that you want to see over these last 26 games for the Grizzlies?
Well, here's my thing. I think a lot of people have kind of sold themselves on this idea of I don't know if you're supposed to call it tanking or basically, a lot of the older guys sitting out.
Yeah.
I think completely opposite. I think that you get now, of course, when you get to the last 3-4 games of the season, it's different. But you just mentioned 26 games. If you tell me you can get 15 games, I'll just say it at that number. If you can get 15 games of these young guys playing on the floor with Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane, and Brandon Clark, I do it. Like, because here's the evaluation for me. The evaluation is not just these guys being on the floor with each other, because guess what? G.G. Jackson, yes, he's getting a bunch of good looks and stuff right now. He's scoring efficiently. But at the end of the day, these are not the players, for the most part. These are not the players he's going to be on the floor with next season. Like, we just got to be honest. He's going to be on the floor with Marcus Smart. He's going to be on the floor with Desmond Bane. He's going to be on the floor with Jaren Jackson Jr. So I'm just not a huge fan of this whole, let's just shut the guys down and let the young guys ride it out into next season. No, this is a huge offseason for the Grizzlies, and you need to be as thorough as possible. And part of that is you need to get a real evaluation, not just, Lamar Stevens is good again in isolations against guys. Like, how can he play off of Desmond Bane? Because that's what's going to be happening next season if he's on the team. Like, in short form, put it like this. Over the last 3 games, we mentioned Lamar Stevens. He scored really well, but it's a lot of the ball being in his hands and driving at guys, getting to his spots, and he's good at it. But let's be honest. When Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart on the floor, you're not going to be getting this many ISOs.
Right.
And it's the same for pretty much all of those guys. So if you can get Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart on the floor with them, you never know. Maybe they look like completely different players in a bad way. Maybe they look like completely different players in a good way, or maybe they look the exact same way. But I feel like that's a part of the evaluation period as you go into the offseason. So that's my thing. You go down to the last 26 games, say Desmond Bane, as soon as you're ready, we'll have you back. Marcus Smart, as soon as you're ready, we'll have you back. Jaren, keep playing. We're not about to shut you down anytime soon. Maybe last 3 games of the season you can do that, but as of right now, you need to let the dogs roll.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was kind of split on what I thought about the whole sit guys or play them, but you just made a really good point of kind of trying to get these young guys familiar with them. And when everyone's been talking about, this is a tryout for a lot of these guys, we'll see what they can do when most of the stars are out there on the court. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the NBA, right? You've seen guys be on the floor down the stretch of a season, and they go burst for 20-point games, and then you get on the floor with those star players, and your usage rate goes down, and you're like a completely different player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
That's a really good point. Well, it's going to be fun to see, this team continues to fight night in and night out and makes for a lot of really, really fun games. But DeMichael, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, DeMichael. DeMichael Cole, he joins us from the Commercial Appeal. Go check out his work over at the Commercial Appeal. Even though he's got his feet up and trying to relax a little bit because of All-Star break, he's still putting out content and doing his thing over at the Commercial Appeal, so go check it out. Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text or just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders' team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Join the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr. February 22nd and celebrate a true champion. Ironman Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. This 19-time All-Star, 2-time American League MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee is a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindelCenter.org to see Cal Ripken Jr. 7:30 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia.
It's time to get thunderstruck during Gossett Mitsubishi's spring sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Ready to get 43 MPG Highway? Check out the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett, 18,610 or $249 a month. Need extra room? 7-passenger seating in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SE, 33,605 or $399.99 a month. And Gossett Mitsubishi's got sophisticated styling and comfort in 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, 31,200 or $449 a month. Plus, every Gossett Mitsubishi comes with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RH00591 MSRP 19110, Outlander RZO 19512 MSRP 34605, Eclipse RZO 10625 MSRP 317, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything! A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's been a little bit lighter than normal. Earlier, they were moving some debris on 40 westbound across the bridge, headed back over towards West Memphis. Wasn't causing too much of a backup. TDOT and those help trucks around here with a couple of stalled vehicles. Limited traffic wanting to build through the Midtown area on 240 South coming past South Parkway. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you. No Brett today. He'll be back tomorrow. I hope.
Me too.
No, I'm kidding. He'll be back tomorrow. Johnny, I wanted to talk about this earlier, but we were kind of Tiger-centric in that first hour, and I wanted to keep it on the Tigers. But the NBA All-Star Game, All-Star Weekend, has been talked about at length by a lot of people. But I want to talk about it for a second, and then some other NBA news that came out today I want to talk about as well. 200 points, what was it? 211 was the final score for the East. That's been talked about a lot. That's really the only reason that the defensive story has been today is because of, team just scored 200 points. I get that. I completely understand. But, like, on one side, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is boring. It's just guys running up and down the court, hitting layups, hitting threes.
Yeah.
But like I said this earlier, like, watching Damian Lillard just, like, pull up a three from half court, well, that's pretty cool.
That was cool.
Like, I can get behind that and be like, yeah, that was sick. Like, that was cool. I liked watching that. And then he did it again. I was like, I really liked watching that. That was cool. So, like, I think they need to change something.
Yeah.
But how do you change it? Now we're seeing reports, and DeMichael kind of mentioned it, that there's a report in The Athletic this afternoon, I think since we've gotten on air, that there were discussions between players at All-Star Weekend about asking for monetary incentives to play in the All-Star game. Basically, they want to be paid to play in the All-Star game, which I'm pretty sure most contracts have if you're an All-Star, you get a bonus. Is that not paying you? But I guess they want, an actual paycheck from the All-Star game. I don't know, whatever. Paid to be in the All-Star game, I guess. So that is what I heard. So, I don't think the NBA is going to be paying anybody to play in the All-Star game.
No, they won't.
So, like, how do you make it competitive, but also not risk injury? But, like, honestly, like, I don't know. I'm so split on the whole All-Star game because, like, part of me is like, yeah, we need to find a way to make the All-Star game more competitive and more compelling. But then there's another side of me that says, of course these guys are not going to try or play defense. They get a week off in the middle of the season. They're grinding every single day. Of course they don't want to they don't want to try in this exhibition game. Anthony Edwards already said, I'm going to shoot every shot with my left hand.
And he did it in the skills.
In the skills challenge. I don't know if he did it last night.
He didn't do it in the game.
But he did it in the skills challenge. I was paying attention then. So, like, how do you do that? My idea, I think they had something going when they did the draft the last couple years.
Yeah.
Where they drafted the teams. I think they had something there. Here's what I would do, though. And they did it in the Rising Stars game. NHL does the same thing. This is exactly what the NHL All-Star game does. Theirs is the exact same way. Middle of the season, they get an All-Star break. Because, like, think about it. Pro Bowl's at the end of the season. You don't play in the Pro Bowl if you're on a Super Bowl team. And so it's all guys that their season is over. MLB All-Star game, it's a little different because it's like a one-on-one battle every single time. Like, it's not really like, it's just different. Like, you can't compare.
It's like a mano a mano, one person versus another.
Yeah, it's just like, it's pitcher versus batter.
Yeah.
And they rotate pitchers so much that, like, the pitchers that are out there, they're going to try. And everybody wants to hit the ball. So it's very different. You can't really compare baseball All-Star game and any other All-Star game, I think.
Well, Bryant, I got a solution.
What's your solution? I have a solution, but I want to hear your solution.
Bryant, I say, man, let's just scrap the whole All-Star game, man. Because it's not going to get better.
You still have All-Star Weekend?
You still have All-Star Weekend, but in its place, you can do this. A one-on-one tournament, man. A one-on-one for a grand prize.
Oh, so you would have a grand prize?
Yes, we got to do a grand prize. Okay, but one-on-one, they playing one-on-one basketball, man.
I mean, that would be fun.
That would be. Think about it. Fans are in tune. They playing for a grand prize. And you said something about baseball, how it's pitcher versus batter. Think about this. Kevin Durant versus Giannis. One-on-one basketball,
It'd be fun.
That'll be fun to watch. That'll get the fans in. Man, the All-Star game, it is what it is at this point. It's only going to get worse, man.
Well, here's my idea. And I want your honest feedback on this.
Okay.
So here's what the NHL does. NHL goes and they draft teams, but they have 4 captains. So you have 4 captains. Usually one captain is from, it's hard. I don't know if this is how they do it or if it just became this, but they were in Toronto this year. One of the captains was Austin Matthews, who plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he's also one of the best players in the NHL. So, like, I don't know if it would just kind of happen like that where he was the captain, but I would like to have a captain as one of the players on the team that is hosting. That'd be cool. But you take the 4 best players or 3 of the best players and then the best player from that team that's hosting. They're the captains. It's their teams. You have a draft that you can televise or whatever. They were televising whatever. But you have a draft where instead of just 2 teams drafting a bunch of players, it's now 4 teams drafting players. And you have, I don't know how many guys you draft, 8 on a team. I don't know how you would do it. But you draft teams and then they go out there, or maybe you go 3-on-3 and you draft 6 players on each team.
Okay.
And you do a tournament. And you start in the semifinals. Exactly what they did with the Rising Stars games. They had an Elam ending where they had a set number. If you get here, game's over, whatever. And you play a tournament style. I don't think that fixes. It's not gonna be like, teams are playing in a regular season game or in a playoff game. I don't think we need that. But I think it would be more competitive than what we're getting now because you're playing for something. You put a bracket in front of anybody and they're going to play harder.
Yeah.
They're going to want to win. I mean, all of these guys are competitors. If they're playing for something, if they think, I could be the winner, it's a tournament format, they're going to play better. I think the Rising Stars guys played harder, even though it still wasn't great. They were still playing a little bit of defense. They were playing, it was a little more competitive, especially when it got down the stretch and we were getting to like the last couple of shots to win games. You kind of saw a couple guys that, you could tell they wanted it. They really wanted to win it that way. So I think it would be fun. If you had like a 3-on-3 tournament or something like that, I think half court, I think people would get into that.
Yeah. And the format that you're talking about works way better than what they're doing now because it's a tournament. And people. So
I just changed it, just talking about it. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just changed my thought because my thought at first was going to be 5-on-5 full court run tournament. Scrap that 3-on-3 and
that's way better.
Play it like that.
And then it gives
5-on-5. You'd have to add players.
And then you can pick, you can do it exactly like you can do 3-on-3.
Yes.
You can let the captains pick
6 guys, draft style. I love that idea. Now it is my idea, so of course I love it. But I'm a big fan of that.
I like it. I think it's very solid. I love the idea of my idea as well. We need to see one-on-one. I do like yours. Because it's a tournament. It would still be a tournament though for a grand prize, one-on-one basketball, man.
I do like that idea. I really like that idea. Now, I mentioned earlier, 3-point shooting contest was cool. Dame won. That was cool. Dunk contest, Mac McClung won.
I wasn't shocked. He was supposed to win.
I'm with DeMichael of I honestly did not know that. I guess I should have known. I probably did know, but I didn't really think about it. But during All-Star Weekend, they have a G League dunk contest.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I honestly
didn't. The only
didn't.
reason I knew about it is because the G League posted something on Twitter and was like, our dunk champion or something like that.
But it makes it look, it kind of looks bad because look at this, man. They also have an All-Star game during the G League as well. But the thing is,
I wonder if Mac McClung played in the G League All-Star game.
Most likely he did because I think he was averaging like 27 points a game.
Huh. So he went from the dunk contest to the G League All-Star game.
It's amazing, man.
I don't want to throw any shade on him,
but I'm just saying, man. They need the names, but nobody. Also, another reason why we don't see the stars in the dunk contest, man.
What's up?
They don't want to get embarrassed, man. People hate getting embarrassed,
and that's what Michael was saying. Imagine Ja going out there or anybody going out there. Jaylen Brown just did it, and you lose to a guy that's in the G League. No
you
offense
losing
to him,
Mac. Nothing against Mac, but you lose against Mac, and you a 3-4 time All-Star, man.
But also, DeMichael mentioned it. It feels like we've done everything in the dunk contest.
You have at this point in time,
and so these dunks that these guys are doing are like incredible dunks. Like it takes a lot of effort and it takes a specific type of athleticism to do these dunks. But it feels like we've seen them before, and we've seen better than them before, and so we're like, okay, those okay. I
You've
guess.
seen it all, man. At this point in time,
and that I think is an issue. Now, also Sabrina versus Steph was awesome. That was
she was shooting that ball, man.
She's shooting from the NBA 3-point line.
Yep.
She said that morning, I think, that she had decided they told her you can either shoot from the WNBA 3-point line or you can shoot from the NBA 3-point line. And she was like, shooting from the NBA 3-point line.
I really feel like she probably really could have got Steph if she shot from her range, though.
But I think it's almost more impressive. That
It's more, though. It's way
beat
more.
him in the NBA. I mean, she had like 26 and he finished with like 28 or 29. That was awesome.
Steph caught fire at the end, but in the beginning, I know you seen this when she was starting off, bro. She was hot from three, bro.
Yeah, no. It was
that
was fun.
first 2 racks. Oh my goodness, she
Yeah.
was hot.
No, that was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I like Sabrina. I don't get to watch her as much now that she's in the WNBA, but I was keeping up with her a lot when she was at Oregon. I really loved her game at Oregon. And like a Kobe Bryant protege, like her and Kobe were like super tight. Like she's awesome. I love Sabrina.
Wait till Caitlin Clark get available.
Oh man,
my goodness,
cool, man. But what I hated the most, forget the All-Star game, was the skills challenge. Did you watch any of the skills challenge?
I watched the whole skills challenge.
Did you really? What
Yes.
did you think about it? Just give it a grade, like A to F. What would you give it?
Bro, probably a C.
I gave it an F minus.
A F minus?
I don't even know if
you
can
hated
give,
it.
I don't even know if they give F.
You hated
I think
it.
F is the lowest you can go. I'm adding
Really?
an F minus.
Why did you hate it like that?
It was awful.
What was the worst
Awful.
thing?
So, and I don't know, because like I'll be honest, I've gotten to the point where like All-Star Weekend's cool, but like it's not going to be like my primary attention. Like there's college basketball going on this weekend. College baseball started. Like NHL's going on. Like
Yeah, a
these
lot
are
of
all
sports
things,
is
These
going
are all
on.
things I watch. Like I'm watching all these other games
For sure,
And so
yeah.
like what I'll usually do, especially like on a Friday night or a Saturday night when we had that, is like I'll either be like at my house or at my girlfriend's house, and like we'll be watching something on the TV, whether it's sports or like a movie or something like that. We'll have that on the television, and then on my computer, I'll have like 4 screens going on my computer, and then sometimes like a screen on my iPad. And so I'll like have that on my computer somewhere, but it's in like a small box, I'm paying attention to, college basketball or something like that. But I'll have it on in the background. And I was watching the skills challenge, and when I saw it start, I started paying attention to it because I noticed, and I don't know if they've done this in the past couple of years. This was the first time I'd noticed it, but they did like a team format. It wasn't, because I remember the skills challenges being one person versus another person versus another person.
Yeah.
This time it was like teams. And so you had one team that was NBA All-Stars, and it was Trae Young, Scotty Barnes, and Tyrese Maxey. They had another one that was just Indiana Pacer players.
Yeah.
And it was
Tyrese, it was Miles Turner, and it also was Ben Mathurin.
Benedict Mathurin and then
the first round picks that did terrible.
Who was the Indiana team was
Miles Turner, Tyrese Halliburton,
and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
And then the number 1 picks were Paulo, Victor, and Anthony Edwards.
They did terrible.
But I did not like the team format. The first one was like going through an obstacle course.
Them boys were messing up on it.
All 3, they didn't know how to run through the obstacle course. They were all going wide, and you're supposed to go in and out. And then the next one, so the winner of that got 100 points. And then the next one was a passing thing that I did not understand what was going on. It was like one of them was like a bounce pass, one of them was just like a regular pass that was moving, and then one of them was like a stationary that you just passed into. I didn't like that at all.
I didn't know how they were scoring some of them points though.
I didn't like it. I thought that was stupid.
Because
I thought that was awful.
Trae Young's team beat Tyrese's team, but they end up having, was it more points than them?
I don't know. They came down like it was weird. It was like a shot clock or something. It was stupid. Then, so those two were both worth 100 points. And Indiana won both of those. So they were up 200-0 with one event left. And so I don't know if it was always supposed to be 200 points or if they looked at it and said, ooh, we need some intrigue here. We're going to make this last one 200 points. And it was like a shooting challenge where they had all these different spots on the floor that you could shoot from and get various amount of points. And so that happened. And
Tyrese and them lost. They lost to
All-Star team.
They lost to Trae Young's
All-Star
team.
won.
But they got 200 points off of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it was always supposed to be 200 points or if they said that because
I think somebody made an error, bro.
Well, no, I don't think it was an error. I think they said the Indiana team has 200 points. Nobody else has any other points. We've got to make this more intriguing. But maybe they did have it 200 points. I really don't know. So then, because we were tied 200-200, they went to like a tiebreaker overtime
halftime, like a half-court shot.
And it was what team could make the fastest half-court shot, which was awful. I mean, you got these guys just chunking up half-court shots. The first team to go was the number 1 seeds, and they could not make anything.
Trae Young couldn't make that.
It was awful. Scotty
Barnes
behind the back shots. I mean, it was horrible. And then thankfully, Indiana's team comes up there.
Put us out our misery.
Halliburton made one fairly quick. But like we could have been there all night just trying to make half-court shots.
Well, my question is, if they didn't make that shot, what was next?
It was miserable. Do we have a time limit or something of like, oh, let's wait? It was miserable. It was awful. It was
They
so
had
bad.
a time limit, but it was like, yo.
It was so bad.
If nobody makes a shot, it's over.
It was awful. So that was the worst thing I saw over the weekend and All-Star Weekend. Well, we're late for a break. Let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show at Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go. So Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. Two final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
All 650 acquisition fee, Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590, Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing, and a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Cam
hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today is Blake Snell, probably the hottest commodity that is still a free agent in Major League Baseball, has an offer on the table from the Yankees. The Yankees have been trying to get him all season long, and it hadn't seemed like Snell has wanted to budge. And he's, I guess, hoping that as they get closer to the season that maybe he can get closer to what he is asking for. But, man, I do not want to see Blake Snell as a Yankee.
Man, that's crazy. What I learned today is the UConn coach, Coach Gino, he passes Coach K for the second most wins in D1 women or men's basketball history.
Wow, that's a really good nugget. Yeah, that game happened earlier this afternoon. That was a 11 o'clock game. It was really, really early. What I learned, or what I could have done without today, we have a change at the Brooklyn Nets. They have fired their head coach. And, Johnny, I'll be honest, Jacques Vaughn was never my favorite coach.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how he got fired today. I just don't get it. This team, we talked to Keith Smith last week, and I said, looking at what they did the trade deadline, looking at how the team had been playing, I just don't understand, looking back a couple seasons ago, what the direction of this team is. Where are they going? They trade all their star players, and, you think maybe you get these young players and you start a kind of quick rebuild, and it just does not look like that is what they're doing. And today, deciding to fire Jacques Vaughn, I do not think that he was the reason they were struggling. I don't think he was the reason that they were losing.
Yeah.
And I'm never really in favor of the in-season firings unless it's like something that you see with the Bucks where it's like very clear the locker room does not like their coach.
They rejected him.
They
rejected him.
You got to make a move then. But I don't know. Unless maybe this did happen behind the scenes and we just don't know about it yet. I don't really see that. But an interesting name, Kevin Ollie, the former UConn head coach, who I believe has been either working very closely with G League Ignite or Overtime Elite. Maybe Overtime Elite. Sounds like he is
I don't
going
think
to
it's
be,
G League Ignite. I think it
Overtime
is.
Elite.
Yeah.
He's going to be the interim coach for the Brooklyn Nets.
Man, that's crazy. One thing I could have done with that was there's a Nebraska women's basketball player who is suing the university.
Oh.
Yeah, for some allegations and different things like that, man. And she's suing a assistant coach. That's one thing I could have really I can just deal without that, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I did not know about that, so that is definitely news to me. I think, talking about beaming, I think I tonight am going to beam to this Houston and Iowa State game later tonight. Should be a really, really fun game between two top 10 programs now after the updated top 25. Johnny, where are you beaming?
That's crazy. I'm beaming the same place as you, man.
We can sit next to each other. I mean, that really should be a fun game. Really the game of the night.
Yeah, I think it is.
In college basketball, and with no NBA, it kind of limited on where you can beam. Maybe beam me out to the end of Daytona 500 as they're
I might tune in
close,
later on.
Well, they're getting close to the end, so I don't know how much you'll be able
it's over.
to tune into. It's getting close to being over. But that is all the time we have. Like I said, Brett was out today, but he will be back tomorrow. It'll be all of us back together, so we'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.